Our guy steps out of the shower and completely freezes, his shadow gone. At first he thinks he's just tripping, but no matter where he looks, that dark silhouette is nowhere to be found. He frantically scans the room, coming up empty. Then bam, he's staring right at it. His own shadow is just chilling there, totally detached from his body. For a split second he totally freaks out. Is this thing alive? Is it going to kill him? He braces himself to throw hands, but then a crazy thought hits him. What if he can control it? Swallowing his fear, he orders it to raise its hand. Boom. It obeys instantly. Yeah, reality has been seriously glitching lately. Insane things keep happening to Yang Yu. First, his eyes start burning like crazy. Next thing he knows, he's seeing literal health bars floating over everyone's heads. Then things go from weird to straight up nightmare fuel. He gets these violent flash forwards of a post-apocalyptic city swarming with bloodthirsty monsters tearing each other apart, only for reality to instantly snap back. Like absolutely nothing happened. And if that wasn't unhinged enough, a mysterious chest tattoo suddenly appears radiating pure dark energy. Fast forward to now, he has a sentient shadow bound to his every word. This totally hypes our boy up and he starts firing off rapid commands. The dude literally forces his own shadow to hit a dance routine. After messing around, a sharp headache kicks in, making him wonder where the heck this entity actually came from. Suddenly, a glowing orb bursts from his chest tattoo, projecting a holographic screen. The display reveals the shadow's raw stats and hidden. It only rocks one skill, Shadow Devour. He taps the plus icon, unlocking the deep lore behind his new minion. TLDR, this shadow is a perfect clone of him, packing all of his memories. It will follow his orders to the letter, but it literally has 0 brain cells of its own. Yang swipes his hand right through the silhouette, confirming it lacks a physical body. He asks the entity if it really holds all his memories. The shadow nods. Instantly, our guy vaults over to his desk and whips out his massive math assignment. He asks his dark twin if it can carry him through the homework. Yang's jaw drops when he sees the shadow actually grip the pen. This completely shatters his theory about it not having physical mass. But since the clone can't actually think, it brutally fails at the math problem and drops the pen. Yang gets salty, bragging that he could crush that assignment in exactly 2 minutes. He wonders if the test is just way too tough for a brainless copy. Shifting gears, instead of forcing it to solve equations, he orders the shadow to just copy down the lesson from memory. This time, the shadowy minion locks in and starts speed writing. Our boy smirks, thinking he doesn't even need an overpowered awakening anymore. His shadow is basically the ultimate exam cheat code. He might as well just sell all his textbooks online. Yang instantly spots the insane potential here. He dives back into the stat panel, hunting for more hacks. Clicking the expand button under his shadow technique, he discovers a wild passive. He can drain shadow points from any darkness around him. This mechanic continuously buffs his raw strength and even works on lifeless objects. Yang is puzzled on how to trigger it though. Does he actually have to touch the dark spots or the items? Scanning his room, his eyes lock onto a thick patch of darkness lurking in the corner. He tries to siphon the energy, but absolutely nothing happens. He groans in frustration. This overpowered skill doesn't even come with a basic tutorial. Suddenly, a system prompt pops up. His eyes just underwent an unknown mutation. He unlocks a brand new ocular skill called Shadow Pupil, letting him peer directly into the hidden dark underbelly of reality. Yang shudders, wondering if this dimension is that ruined hellscape from his visions. He decides to play it safe and not rush things. Still processing his insane new buffs, he turns to his clone and tells it to stop grinding the homework. Instead, he commands his dark twin to drop down and crank out some push-ups. The shadow obeys, rising up before slowly melting straight into the floorboards. Panic hits Yang like a truck. Where the heck did his shadow just vanish to? Just a heartbeat later, the dark silhouette oozes right back out of the floorboards, standing dead center in front of him. Yang demands to know where it wandered off to. The entity's casual response, it was just pushing further. He asks what it was even doing down there. Turns out the dark clone was grinding out a hardcore workout, following his orders to the absolute letter. This gets our boy thinking. Is grinding XP in the dark dimension actually way more overpowered? He waves off his dark twin, giving it the green light to dive right back into the abyss. Once the silhouette dips out, Yang drops back into his chair, locking in for a massive study grind. Cut to the very next morning. Our guy is completely passed out flat on his desk, drooling over some imaginary feast. He snaps awake, wincing as a brutal cramp shoots up his spine from crashing face first. Right on cue, someone starts pounding on his front door. Dragging himself up, he swings it open, only to end up face to face with his cute classmate and literal girlfriend. Lu Yao Yao instantly spots his HP hovering at 93. Her brows furrow. Why did his stats randomly drop out of nowhere? Yang puts 2 and 2 together. It has gotta be the Shadow Realm's corruption bleeding over from his Phantom's little field trip. He rubs his eyes, asking why she is invading his space at the crack of dawn. She smirks, confessing she caught wind of his latest art drop. The girl is absolutely itching to sneak a peek at his fresh concept sketches. Bam Yao Yao jumps back, caught totally off guard by him violently shoving the door shut. Obviously, she is pretty ticked off now. But on the inside, our boy is completely frozen. His jaw drops at his own absurd raw power. Even Yao Yao is staring at him like he grew a second head, her eyes scanning his entire physique up and down. Scanning him like an absolute hawk, she straight up demands to know if he has been secretly hitting the iron. But she instantly scraps that theory. Let us be real, he is a total shut-in who has not touched a dumbbell since forever. Still, it is completely unhinged that he somehow speed-ran a shredded physique literally overnight. She starts poking his newly formed biceps, interrogating him. Sweating bullets, Yang deflects, claiming he just casually deadlifts his heavy bookshelves every single day. It finally clicks for our guy. Every single rep his shadow grinds out in the dark directly buffs his actual physical stats up here in the real world. Yao Yao is absolutely not buying that garbage. Nobody gets yoked like that from moving some dusty paperbacks around. She heavily suspects he is popping some sketchy illegal. Leaning in close, she warns him there is still time to quit the juice before it permanently ruins him. Yang rolls his eyes playfully, firing back that she seriously yaps way too much for her own good. Before he can even blink, she locks onto his arm with a death grip and fishes something metallic. Yang yelps in pure terror, screaming to ask if she is about to shank him with some sort of deadly weapon. Chill out, Yao Yao flashes a high-tech wristband explaining it is a scanner specially designed to read a person's corruption levels. Slaying alien freaks, swallowing weird cosmic artifacts, or even just harboring toxic grudges, all of that heavily spikes your internal danger meter. If someone gets tainted, that nasty dark energy absolutely has to be cleansed out as soon as possible. Ignore the warning signs and you will literally mutate into a twisted, nightmarish monster. Hearing this lore dump, Yang just chuckles on the inside. There is zero chance his awesome chest interface carries any nasty corruption. But that cocky smirk gets completely wiped away. The scanner aggressively starts flashing, locking right onto his hidden chest core. He whips his head around and, holy crap, his girlfriend is gripping a literal handgun, fully prepared to blast him to oblivion if things go south. Sweating absolute buckets, Yang violently forces his racing heart to chill out, miraculously killing the scanner's blaring. The green light finally blinks. His scan comes back perfectly clean. Zero dark corruption detected. A massive breath of relief completely leaves his lungs. He just dodged a massive bullet there. Quite lowering the heat, she casually mentions her dad heavily trained her to be hyper-paranoid about absolutely everything. Desperate to change the subject, Yang hypes up his fresh fan art of some iconic comic heroes, asking if she wants to check the stash out. Instantly dropping her guard, Yao Yao's eyes light up with pure hype, incredibly eager to dive into his new art. Later on, the adrenaline crash fully hits. Yang shudders, realizing he was a literal millimeter away from getting totally exposed. Swiping open his glowing system window, a flashing new alert catches his eye. Boom. The pop-up confirms his dark clone has been violently scrolling through the crazy log of stat boosts. His jaw absolutely hits the floor. His shadowy twin has not just leveled up, it has mutated into an absolute powerhouse. He catches himself wondering if his shadow has been grinding straight through the night. The shadowy clone is still putting in work, and our boy Jiang is already feeling those massive gains. But honestly, this basic routine just isn't cutting it. He needs to crank the difficulty up to absolutely insane levels. He barks an order, forcing his... And we aren't talking about your average gym class planks either. He goes full savage mode, commanding the shadow to rep out one-handed toss in some explosive tiger stance push-ups just to flex. Jiang has his duplicate spamming martial arts drills and deep squats. Then he dials the intensity way past the red line. We're talking hardcore weighted sprints and absolute core shredding crunches. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhao is hovering right outside his bedroom door, eavesdropping as our guy yells out relentless commands to his shadow. Hearing the sweat and hustle, she totally buys that Jiang is in there, grinding his absolute heart out, wiping away any suspicion she had. Breathing a massive sigh of relief that her boy is perfectly fine, she heads back to her spot to binge some manga. Smash cut to year 99 of the disaster calendar. It's January 20th, day 1 of unlocking this wildly overpowered shadow hack. The dark clone grinds non-stop through the night with literally zero fatigue, and Jiang He's absorbing all those stat boosts, leveling up massively without breaking a single drop of sweat. Jiang scoffs. It's honestly tragic watching guys his age just settle for being completely average. The very next day he queues up an even more punishing workout for his shadow, and the power spikes are totally mind-blowing. He smirks, wondering if he could straight up one-shot Yao Yao right now. But nah, he knows he's gotta push past his limits to guarantee it. Uncle Lee from the night patrol swings by to check on him, totally clueless to the monstrous aura Jiang is hiding. The old man is definitely showing his age, rocking a missing arm. Jiang mentally runs the numbers. He could probably obliterate 3 Uncle Lis and 10 Yao Yaos with a single flick of his wrist. By the next sunrise, he cranks the intensity up to 11. He knows staying stagnant is a death sentence. He's absolutely desperate to unlock some god-tier abilities. He locks in, ready to push his mind and body past the absolute break. Fast forward to January 24th. He's got the Shadow sweating out a hardcore training montage while he literally just goes to his day job. January 25th rolls around. Same brutal grind. The Shadow puts in the reps while Jiang puts in the hours. But on January 26th, he finally hypes himself up to actually hit the floor and train his own body. And he completely taps out after barely surviving 10 push-ups. Problem is, his shadow point progression is dragging at a snail's pace. He's only managed to scrape together 8 measly shadow points. He furiously calculates how long this agonizing grind to 10 points is going to take. He needs those points to unlock the legendary shadow possession. He figures his fastest cheat code to level up is to physically dive into the dark side realm himself. A pitch-black vortex spirals up from beneath his boots, creeping up his legs until it completely swallows him whole. He sinks through the floorboards, plunging straight into the abyss. But when he opens his eyes, total mind trip. He's literally still standing in his bedroom. He spins around, totally baffled. Is this actually the dark side? Because it's a dead ringer for his messy room. He kicks his door open to explore this creepy dimension. Flashback to a couple minutes ago, his flashy realm hop literally just respawned him right at his own bedside. Turns out, treating his bedroom as a portal to this chaotic dimension is a total bust. He actually has to step outside the house to cross over, and when he does, the dark side is an eerie, copy-paste replica of the real world. The anticlimactic reveal pisses him off, so he just keeps marching down the silent street. Suddenly, a sharp crunch echoes behind him. He glances back, genuinely wondering if some random NPC is about to give him a tutorial on this nightmare realm. Nope. It's a freaky, nightmarish beast lunging straight for his neck. Jiang hits a clean sidestep, dodging the fatal blow by a hair. The abomination glares at him, its glowing blood-red eyes piercing through the shadows. The monster unleashes a vicious flurry of strikes, but Jiang is completely dialed in, weaving through every single deadly swipe. Panting, our boy commands his shadow portal to rip open, and he absolutely launches himself right into the void. Thank God, he drops back into reality through the shadow rift, completely outrunning that demonic thing. But holy crap, he is violently shaken. His heart is practically pounding out of his chest. What the heck was that? The beast literally jumped him for zero reason. If it wasn't for his phantom doing all that sweaty, intense training over the past week, he never would have had the insane reflexes to survive that ambush. Now, it's personal. Jiang is thirsty for payback against that spawn of Satan. By January 28th, he reopens the portal and plunges back into the nightmare realm. Ready to throw hands and settle the score with the exact same bloodthirst, he catches a brutal beatdown this round. He dives right back into the meat grinder the very next day, but that sweet payback completely slips through his fingers. On January 30th, a crushing strike slams directly into his chest. 3 heavy combos land, instantly draining 6% of his total HP. Our guy desperately needs a breather, so he calls it quits for the day and crashes at home to heal up while Yao Yao carefully patches up his busted skin. Did you get into another brawl? She asks, eyeing the damage. He smirks, calling those fresh battle scars his ultimate trophies. Yao Yao totally roasts him for it, warning him that his ego is going to inflate way too much. Once his body actually gets buff, Yang just brushes off her teasing and pivots the conversation straight to the upcoming martial arts trials. The gauntlet drops in exactly 1 month, and he really wants to know what Lu's game plan is for her. Judging by her blank stare, she totally blanked on the whole thing. Ever since the Calamity Year, massive industries have practically crumbled into dust. The arts and entertainment scenes, completely dead in the water. Anyone chasing an artistic vibe has been shoved right to the rock bottom of the social ladder. Nobody gives a damn about basic entertainment anymore. The masses are strictly obsessed with national survival. The Night Guardians have completely stolen the spotlight, flexing as the absolute ultimate superstars of this era. But grabbing that elite title means surviving a brutal martial arts exam, strictly enforced by the government. Crush this test and you instantly unlock a top-tier, insanely privileged lifestyle. Yao Yao drops a bombshell. She wants absolutely nothing to do with that violent exam. Catching Yang completely off guard, she confesses her secret passion for producing music. He hypes her up, pushing her to chase that melody. But he heavily doubts her strict old man is going to sign off on that vibe. Her dad is a heavy-hitting boss, dominating the Night Patrol division. It's the ultimate nepotism flex. He basically bypassed the miserable civil service grind to become an untouchable independent contractor. Honestly, her dad's temper isn't what's stressing her out. She's freaking out over the brand new mandate declaring that, as of this year, every single student is forced to register and fight in the martial arts trials. Yang doesn't even blink. He knows the higher-ups couldn't care less about what they actually want. They've literally tossed even the painfully average students straight into the general testing meat grinder. Yao Yao drops the heavy reality that the pressure crushing the night patrol is skyrocketing. Unless a massive miracle happens, she is completely locked in to face the combat trials. Yang suddenly remembers that weird scanner gadget Lu let her bring to the last evaluation. His mind flashes back to the insane amount of microscopic details on exam day that made it physically impossible for him to fly under the radar. Even so, he's praying to the gaming gods that his little cheat system doesn't drag him into some cursed nightmare zones. He turns a dead serious gaze toward Yao Yao, questioning if that chemical reagent she smuggled in before could actually repel an alien invasion. Yao Yao shakes her head. She heavily doubts it, explaining that the tech is strictly built just to ping the radar for extraterrestrials and supernatural freaks. She throws in a dark warning if he ever crosses paths with an insanely mutated breed of alien. His only play is to sprint for his absolute life and dial SOS. Right before he gets completely flatlined, Yang desperately wants to dig into the lore of these mutant anomalies, but Yao Yao violently pivots the conversation. She announces that his gashes are fully sealed up and she's got to bounce for now. Yang lets out an awkward cough, asking if there's any chance she could leak some of her family's highly classified paranormal files. Yao Yao raises an eyebrow, wondering if he's secretly plotting to crash the public combat exams later down the line. He sets the record straight. Since the combat trials are 100% mandatory this year, he desperately needs the insider intel. Plus, he drops the ultimate bombshell he's plotting to draw a wild new comic focused on awakened superhumans and toxic alien bloodlines. The whole superhero comic concept gets Yao Yao insanely hyped, and she immediately demands all the spoilers. Yang pitches his core concept. The storyline follows this scrawny kid named Ben. He gets relentlessly bullied at school, but his heart is absolute gold. Backed by his loyal squad and teachers, the Night Guard recruits him to be the guinea pig for an insanely risky super soldier project. Running purely on unbreakable god-tier willpower, he completely mutates after taking the experimental serum shots, evolving into the ultimate alpha commander, Captain Ben. Instead of dropping this absolute unit on the front lines, the Night Watch forces our super soldier into stuffy high society banquets. The commander literally wants him rubbing elbows with filthy rich aristocrats and snobby noblewomen. Yang keeps dropping crazy plot twists about his comic, and Yao Yao is entirely hooked. Later on, she drags him over to her place, just down the block. They crash in her room and she tells him to hold tight, sneaking off to her dad's office to raid his stash. But right as she ducks out, Yang completely busts her. He spots a super questionable forbidden romance manga sitting out in the open. Panic flashes across her face. "That's totally not mine. My friend left it," she stammers, bolting out the door with a harsh warning to keep his hands off her stuff. The second she's gone, Yang just chuckles. Some things never change. She is still obsessed with music, hoarding every single childhood instrument like it's a sacred treasure. Flashbacks hit him how she used to relentlessly force him to listen to her practice even when he couldn't care less. He pops in one of her old cassette tapes, letting the nostalgia wash over him. Yao Yao slips back into the room, raising an eyebrow. "Wait. Are you actually getting into music now?" Snapping our boy out of his trance, she playfully roasts him, remembering how he used to be utterly clueless about basic instruments back in the day. He completely brushes off her, teasing his eyes, locking onto a sleek virtual reality headset sitting nearby. Without hesitating, he straps it on and instantly plummets into it. This isn't just a game. The simulation feels violently, breathtakingly real. He's thrust into an uncharted dimension, crawling with forbidden horrors and lethal threats, a literal breeding ground for apocalyptic disasters. This nightmare realm is the exact birthplace of the grotesque alien invaders continuously slaughtering and ravaging our reality. Yang's blood runs cold. Are these the exact same mutated freaks he encountered at the hospital? Suspended directly between our dimension and the creeping abyss lies an eerie, suffocating shadow zone known as the dark side of the world. But plot twist, this shadowy wasteland is actually a corrupted fragment of our own reality. Long before the abyssal rifts ever tore open, these parasitic monsters had already slithered into our world, sneaking right through the shadow layer. Now the Night Watch strictly polices every single gateway in and out of this zone, but no security is perfect, and stragglers still slip through the cracks. Every 2 months, this shadow realm triggers a brutal reset, spawning a flawless mirror of their current surroundings. During this terrifying phase, the monster population explodes exponentially, meaning they have to go in on a massive purge, wiping them out before they overrun everything. But here's the catch. This toxic shadow completely nerfs human combat power. So deploying any elite fighter above level 4 is practically a death sentence. Visibility in this hellscape is capped at a claustrophobic 3 to 5 meters only, expanding slightly if your raw power levels up. The entire dimension is heavily corrupted with lethal radiation. Spend too long in the shadows, and a human will mutate into a grotesque monstrosity themselves. Which makes Yang seriously question, how the heck did Xiao Ying walk in there without feeling a single drop of pain? Watching hordes of these twisted anomalies swarm through the simulation lens, our boy starts sweating cold bullets. The horrifying reality hits him hard. To even stand a chance against these freaks, you need earth-shattering power to match theirs. You literally have to transcend humanity. Suddenly, a mysterious figure glitches into the simulation, leaving Yang wondering, is this one of the legendary awakeners? Doubt creeps in. Even if he aces the martial arts exam, could he ever reach that insane god-tier level? The harsh truth: these awakeners are basically monstrous aliens walking around in human skin. Their sole mission is to purge the corruption and slaughter the invaders. But the moment they die, there's a massive risk their corpses will spontaneously mutate. To prevent a catastrophe, these absolute units are forced to drain every single drop of their energy before taking their final breath. Otherwise, their bodies will transform into the exact same deadly abominations they swore to destroy. His brain practically frying from this massive lore drop, Yang rips the headset off. Panting, he complains to Yao Yao that the simulation is way too intense and painfully outdated. Exhausted, he casually demands she instantly flares up, ready to chew him out, but he shuts her down with the ultimate bribe: 3 Ultra HD original art sketches. Boom. Sold. She caves and starts working his shoulders, but immediately gasps. His muscles are literally rock solid. Smirking, Yang flexes, bragging that all his hardcore grinding has seriously bulked up his neck and traps. Blushing, she stammers, asking if he's been doing crunches too. Knowing exactly what she actually wants, he smirks and lets her feel his shredded six-pack. Just as her fingers trace his abs, her dad barges into the room, catching them dead to rights. Cut to the world's most awkward family dinner. The tension between Yang and Uncle Lu at the table is thick enough to cut with a knife. Yao Yao frantically scrambles to explain, swearing it's a huge misunderstanding. But Lu isn't buying it, not after seeing them huddled up with his own 2 eyes. Yao Yao completely freezes up, totally lost for words. Panicking, she snaps at Jiang, begging him to back her up. Our boy hesitates for a split second, but somehow finds the guts to look her dad in the eye and take the fall. Jiang totally confesses, owning up to the whole thing, and tells Lu to hit him with whatever punishment he wants. Lu completely loses his mind. Blind with rage, he immediately lunges for a knife. Jiao Jiao desperately tries to hold her furious dad back, while Yang slowly backs away, stammering that Uncle Lu has it all twisted. See, Jiao Jiao and Yang are basically childhood sweethearts, even though their vibes are polar opposites. Everyone in town labels our MC as an absolute menace, while Jiao Jiao is the ultimate golden girl, sweet, polite, and totally flawless. But despite their clashing personalities, she always loved hanging out with Jiang back in the day. He low-key wonders if she stuck around because he protected her from some bullies way back when. Or maybe she's just totally crushing on him, hyping up his fearless energy and rugged good looks. He flashes back to when she'd gladly tag along, even when he dressed up as a literal street urchin just to troll the neighborhood. He clearly remembers her partnering up for his wild pranks and how her dad would constantly roast her for running with a troublemaker. So yeah, Uncle Lu has literally never trusted him. Like, at all. Back to the present, Lu slumps onto the couch, glaring daggers at the two of them. He lights up a cigarette, blowing out the smoke before demanding the truth about that little bedroom stunt. Yang scrambles to explain, claiming he was just digging up classified lore on aliens and supernatural entities. Lu just rolls his eyes, scoffing at him like he's an entitled, clueless brat. He leans in and asks if Yang actually knows why the higher-ups gatekeep this dark info from students in the first place. Yang draws a total blank, forcing the older man to drop some harsh reality on him. Human souls are dangerously unpredictable, constantly teetering on the edge of corruption. Pure despair can easily drag a person straight into the abyss. This stuff isn't meant for everyone because most people simply lack the mental fortitude to handle the truth. Even the tiniest crack in a human soul is an open invitation for alien races to invade and take total control. That's exactly why the government heavily screens every single candidate's mental state before the official exams even begin. Only those with absolute peak physical condition and unbreakable willpower are allowed to step foot into the supernatural realm. He warns them that the grind to unlock superhuman abilities is a brutal, blood-soaked path, demanding insane levels of patience and raw perseverance. He grimly points out that every single year, countless rookies completely lose their minds, spiraling out of control, even while hooked up to advanced safety gear. The whole tragedy clearly weighs heavy on his heart. So, He seriously urges Yang to drop his obsession with digging into this forbidden lore right now. Yang respects the warning but straight up tells him, there's no backing down. The ultimate military exams are hitting this year. And honestly, he'd rather bet on his own raw strength than rely on anybody else. Still, he admits that having a ride or die by your side is a massive clutch when the entire world is literally falling apart. Before Lu can clap back, his comms go off in emergency deployment. He immediately gears up to bounce, but right before he walks out that door, he shoots Yang a death glare, ordering him to act like a damn gentleman. He drops a terrifying warning: one wrong move and he will literally end his life. Sweating bullets, Yang desperately tells him to chill out, swearing he'd never pull anything sketchy with Yao Yao again. Zhao Zhao immediately glares at him, totally offended, because they literally did nothing wrong in the first place. Smash cut to a bustling afternoon. The city streets are absolutely packed with everyday crowds going about their daily grind. Jiang has finally touched grass, standing frozen in front of a massive digital billboard. The screen broadcasts epic footage of the elite Sunset Guard, the absolute legends tasked with defending the treacherous sea of clouds. Our MC stares blankly, clearly bummed out by the pathetic crumbs of supernatural intel he actually managed to scrape together. As he runs his errands, the harsh reality sinks and his access to that top-secret database is permanently locked down. With Uncle Lu keeping things under wraps for now, Jing's phone buzzes. It's Yao Yao hitting him up for a grocery run, milk and eggs. Jing totally calls her bluff teasingly, telling her to just spit it out if she actually needs him to grab some pads. He grabs her stuff and heads out. Walking back, his mind races, obsessing over the upcoming martial arts exams and just how much that shadow training has actually leveled him up. Shadowboxing is seriously overpowered, but it's just not going to cut it on its own. He needs real-world combat, actual field practice. Lately, his feed has been completely flooded with recruitment ads hyping up the war against the alien invaders. Plus, the competition this year, absolutely insane. The sheer number of students entering the exams is off the charts. Staring up at the pitch-black sky, a heavy, unsettling dread washes over him. Something massive and deeply catastrophic is looming over their world. He shakes off the dark thoughts. No point spiraling now. His only move is to grind, hunt down those alien scumbags and evolve. Glancing over his shoulder to make absolutely sure the coast is clear, he steps straight into the dark zone. The second he crosses over, his heads-up display flashes. Someone is stumbling right toward him, their health bar tanked at a critical 14%. As the figure slumps closer, Jing's eyes go wide. He actually knows this guy. It's the young dude who lives just down the block. The guy is completely shredded, bleeding out, and "What the hell are you doing in the dark zone?" Jing demands, but the guy just collapses, hitting the concrete hard before he can even choke out a word. Suddenly, a massive, grotesque shadow looms up right behind the fallen neighbor. Jing's blood runs cold. It's that monster, the exact same beast he's been itching to slaughter for payback. Out of the corner of his eye, Jing spots them, a terrified little boy and girl cowering in the shadows, desperately hiding from the beast. The pieces instantly click together. This absolute nightmare is the reason his neighbor's health is totally bottomed out. Pure, unfiltered rage takes over. Flashback time. Let's rewind to exactly how this neighbor ended up trapped in the dark zone. He's just a regular night guard dragging his feet home after pulling a grueling overtime shift. He is completely burnt out, crushed by the insanely long hours and the toxic grind of his job. He's deeply regretting ever taking those martial arts exams. If he knew it meant this level of corporate slavery, he'd have passed. But right in the middle of his pity party, a piercing scream rips through the alley. Squinting into the gloom, his heart drops. Two little kids are literally being sucked straight into the dark zone. His mind races. Is there some insane new alien variant pulling innocent civilians into the abyss? That makes zero sense. The intel clearly states that these alien freaks are humans getting forcefully yanked into their dark dimension. That's literally unheard of. The kids are screaming their lungs out, desperately clawing at the air as a swirling vortex of pitch-black energy swallows them whole. "Hold on, I've got you," he yells, abandoning all logic as he sprints full speed right into the danger zone. He manages to snatch their tiny hands, but it's too late. The inky blackness crashes over them, dragging all through. The portal violently spits them out on the other side. The kids, completely traumatized and utterly confused, just burst into hysterical tears. Reality slaps the guard right in the face. He is officially trapped in the dark zone, while completely off duty. He's totally naked here. No weapons, no anti-corruption gear, absolutely zero backup. He's basically dead meat walking. Before he can even process the panic, a hulking alien monstrosity steps out of the shadows. The kids shriek in pure terror, and he acts on pure adrenaline, lunging at the beast. Crazily enough, the creature vanishes into thin air. But the relief is short-lived as the horrific truth sinks in. The portal is gone. There's no way home. He wildly scans his surroundings, his blood turning to ice. The entire landscape is absolutely crawling with alien predators. They are sitting ducks. A swarm could rush them and tear them apart at any second. He's been pushing pencils as a corporate drone for so long that his combat instincts are completely rusted. He's practically forgotten all the deadly skills he mastered back in the academy. And the absolute worst part, he's got two helpless toddlers clinging to his legs in this hellscape, sobbing uncontrollably. Their survival is entirely on him. His only shot is the emergency beacon on his wristband. Praying for a miracle, he smashes the distress signal and unclasps the tech from his wrist. This tiny piece of tech has a built-in purifier. It'll buy these kids a brief window of immunity against the toxic dark zone corruption. Knowing he's probably not making it out alive, he doesn't hesitate. He forcefully presses the wristband into the kid's hands. "Are we gonna make it, mister?" the little boy whimpers. Staring death in the face, the guard flashes a brave smile. "I promise. You guys are going to be just fine." He shoves them toward a tight crevice. "Hide right here and don't make a sound. I've got to go smash some bugs." Taking a deep breath, memories rush back. He remembers absolutely crushing the military power exams when he was just 18 years old. He didn't just pass, he dominated, securing a fast-track spot right into the university's elite heavyweights division. He flashes back to grinding his absolute hardest during his freshman year at the academy, mastering the fundamentals. The dream. To become a top-tier combatant. Our boy still vividly remembers catching a major dub against an unranked alien, back in his sophomore year. But reality hit him like a truck. Pure grit means absolutely nothing. When you're stacked up against raw, freakish talent in a world run by superpowers, Bro refused to let fate dictate his life, pouring literal blood and sweat into his training, but he just couldn't smash past his own biological ceiling. Left with zero options, he had to drop out of the elite military track and settle for a dead-end gig as a regular night watchman. Suddenly, he snaps back, only to find this grotesque nightmare creeping right up on him. We're talking a mid-tier half-beast hybrid, straight out of the fourth dimension's first category. The freak lunges, but our guy barely parries the strike, realizing something crazy. This attack pattern feels oddly familiar. But in a split second, the beast flips the script, catching him entirely off guard with a brutal blindside. His brain practically screamed at him to dodge, but his sluggish body just couldn't keep up. Boom. Another vicious strike incoming. He barely sidesteps the lethal blow and desperately tries to create distance, but his limb stinging like a million tiny needles driving right into his flesh. It's do or die right now. He has to slaughter this monstrosity before the toxic contamination literally eats him alive from the inside out. Bracing for impact, he channels his ultimate blindness shadow ability and unleashes hell. The sheer force of the blast drops the creature to its knees, but there's a massive catch. Blood starts pouring from our boy's face because the deadly corruption inside him is spiking hard. Every single time he flexes his supernatural abilities, the toxicity ramps up. For scrubs like him, cursed with pathetic willpower and garbage stats, spamming powers is a literal death sentence. Thank God. He's barely tapped into his skills since stepping down to a civilian life. But the mutant isn't done yet, locking its sights back on him. And our guy is fully locked in, ready to throw down until his absolute last breath. The beast violently slams into him, with max power launching him face first into the dirt. He coughs up a sickening puddle of crimson, absolutely shook by how fast this freak adapted to his combat style. The worst part. This thing is just an average run-of-the-mill mob. Literally any standard cadet from the martial arts academy could have completely folded it in seconds. He can't help but wonder if his pathetic lack of raw talent is the only reason he's getting totally bodied right now. The grim reality sets in. He's hopelessly outmatched. But as a sworn night guard, giving up simply isn't in his DNA. His only viable strat now is to stall for dear life and pray that the backup squad pulls up soon. Glancing back at the terrified kid shivering behind him, the monster lands a devastating blow. He eats the dirt once again, and this time, the Reaper is definitely knocking. A dark memory flashes before his eyes. Being 15, paralyzed with fear, watching a close family member get brutally slaughtered, erased from existence by these very same alien scum. That trauma was the exact fuel that pushed him to enlist in the military the second he turned 18. But reality checked him at 20, forcing him to drop out of the frontline combat division right after his sophomore year. Later on, at 21, he swallowed his pride, joined the Night Watch as a rookie trainee, and slowly ground his way up to a full-time gig. It's been 4 long years since he put on that night guard uniform. Even with the insane struggles, he finally considered his life perfectly normal. In this messed up timeline, humanity has been locked in a bloody war against the aliens for 4 years. And despite the media's fake news about peace, the streets have been an absolute war zone. Society kept trying to dodge the harsh truth, but you literally can't ignore reality when the dark clouds of doom are hovering right over your head. Our guy knows full well that getting flatlined is just another Tuesday for superpowered individuals. But he absolutely refuses to clock out just yet. Not when he's the only shield standing between this monster and the innocent kid. With trembling hands, he pops a glowing blue pill, forcing his battered body up as a raw, electrifying surge of power courses through his veins. Round 2 is officially a go. He blitzes the alien, going totally aggro and unleashing a non-stop barrage of heavy strikes. The freakish mutant is completely overwhelmed, failing to block the relentless combo. His hopes start skyrocketing, believing he can actually secure the kill if he just pushes a fraction harder. But the toxic corruption completely fries his system at the absolute worst time, leaving him wide open for a brutal counter. His defenses instantly shatter, sending him crashing hard into the concrete. Blood starts pooling rapidly from his fractured skull, and as his vision fades to black, he realizes it hits him hard. His skills alone aren't enough to take down this nightmare. He feels totally powerless. Seeing as he is still losing even while pumped full of those power-up pills, his totally average mundane life is flashing right before his eyes. Right as he's about to throw in the towel, Yang's voice echoes through the chaos. Is it a night watchman? No, the voice sounds way too young. This kid doesn't scream elite guard. He is absolutely baffled, a totally normal human wandering into the dark side. That's basically impossible. Yang steps right up, gripping the exhausted guy firmly by the shoulders. Take a breather, Yang tells him smoothly. I've got the rest of this. The guy's brain is still buffering over Yang even being here. No one casually walks into the dark side. Since the inspection department has this place on maximum lockdown, could this kid be that legendary ghost, rumored to live in the shadows? Suddenly, the alien lunges straight for Yang, but Yang smoothly slides out of the danger zone. Watching him move, the injured guy instantly notices how physically weak the kid actually is. The freakish monster pivots, aiming for the injured boy, but Yang completely blitzes it first. The strike drops the beast's HP from 24 down to 23. Yang throws a deadly glare, warning the monster to back off the kid. Your fight is with me, he taunts. Gripping a glass bottle, Yang readies his stance. He smashes the bottom off, wielding the jagged edges to psych out the creature. He's already clashed with this thing before, so he has its entire moveset memorized. The alien is heavily wounded, leaking dark blood. Its speed and raw power are practically nerfed now. Yang reads the situation like an open book. He is totally ready to flex his absolute advantage. Furious, the beast shrieks and charges at him again, but Yang effortlessly sidesteps the brutal swing. The injured guy is completely confused. Is this kid actually weak, or secretly OP? But one thing is crystal clear, even without flashy special moves, Yang absolutely dominates the battlefield with pure combat IQ. Meanwhile, Yang's eyes are locked on his target. He is out for pure, unadulterated revenge. Channeling every ounce of strength, he drives a vicious strike right into its waist. The monster violently swats him away like a fly. Ding, hitting the waist triggers its defense mechanism. Suddenly, the massive beast starts sprinting directly at him. His brain races. What's the play here? 2 more hits and it's game over. Honestly, he would have logged right out of the dark side and made a comeback later if he were flying solo. But bailing isn't an option because he has to protect the helpless kids and this beaten-up guy. Right then, he spots the monster's health bar crashing to 20%. A wicked grin crosses his face. At that low HP, there is zero reason to sweat it. He definitely has the firepower to send this thing straight to the grave right now. Target its right rib, the injured guy screams. It's super weak there, Yang totally agrees with the strat, and explodes into a full sprint at the beast. The alien catches the audio cue, throwing up its guard on the right, but plot twist. Yang jukes and delivers a brutal smash to its left blind spot. You totally dropped your guard listening to him, he mocks. The critical hit tanks its HP down to 18%. Panicking, the freak tries to make a run for it, and Yang wonders if it is seriously rage quitting. Hurry, don't lose it, the guy yells out. But horror strikes them both. The beast makes a desperate dash, straight for the little kids. It quickly closes in on the terrified toddlers. Its jaw unhinges, fully prepared to swallow them whole. The kids scream in absolute terror, crying out for a hero. Snatching up a random soda can, Yang winds up and yeets it with maximum velocity right at the monster. Bullseye, the can smashes right into its ugly mug. Buying just enough time, the injured guy pushes through the pain, leaps insanely high, and drops a heavy strike right on the alien's skull. That clutch combo rips the monster's health down to a solid 15%. Coughing up dark blood, the guy looks up just as the beast winds up a lethal counter. But out of nowhere, Yang puts the creature in a brutal chokehold from behind. He is going in for the kill. Yang goes full savage, viciously biting right into the alien's neck, draining even more HP. Gripping its hair tight, he aggressively taunts the monster, screaming at it to keep barking. The health bar flashes red at 11%. Yang's eyes lock in with pure rage. This thing is never taking another human life again. Suddenly, a glowing orb-like core pops right out of the monster's chest. Yang blanks for a split second, but his gamer instincts immediately kick in. That's the weak point. Smash the core. End the nightmare. With a massive battle cry, Yang unleashes every drop of power straight into a massive shockwave rips through the air, completely obliterating the alien. The creature's remains disintegrate. Its dark aura vanishes into thin air, wiping away the absolute chaos it just unleashed. Blood drips down Yang's side, but he staggers to his feet, letting out a massive sigh of relief. He glances over. The other guy is bleeding out too, slumped on the concrete right next to the terrified kids. A savage grin crosses Yang's face. He finally got his sweet payback. But suddenly the world spins. His vision glitches out and he collapses into absolute pitch blackness. When his eyes snap open, he's trapped in a surreal apocalyptic wasteland. Mangled bodies and brutally wounded survivors are scattered everywhere. The entire skyline is completely engulfed in roaring flames. He frantically wonders if this is the actual rendezvous. How the hell did he get here? Before he can process anything, hundreds of monstrous aliens swarm him, completely ready to tear him apart. They all lunge at once. Yang screams out as the blinding sun beats down on this twisted, dark reflection of reality. Echoes of agony fill the air. Some beg for mercy in the blind. It's an absolute bloodbath. Everyone is fighting for their lives and humanity is dropping like only a fraction of them grasp the horrifying truth behind this great extinction. Then just like that, Yang jolts back to reality. The first thing he hears is the wounded guy awkwardly asking if he's actually alive. Yang mutters a quick yes. He lets out a shaky breath, insanely relieved that the hellscape was just a nightmare. His memory is completely wiped from the exact second he clapped that alien. He pats the corpse down, coming to the insane realization that he just went toe-to-toe with a shadow-devouring freak. The other dude asks if he's good since Yang is just zoning out. But before Yang can reply, he notices the guy is looking super rough. Judging by the massive blood loss, the dude is barely hanging on with about 10% HP remaining. In any standard survival logic, hitting the 10% health mark means you're literally knocking on death's door. Surviving that is basically a coin toss. Wheezing, the kid begs Yang to drag him over to the wall. They both collapse side by side, heavily slumped against the cold concrete. Coughing up blood, the kid asks if Yang belongs to the elite night watchman. Our MC is totally stunned. How does this guy not recognize him when they literally live in the exact same apartment complex? He brushes it off, figuring the guy is just clueless and never really noticed him roaming the hallways. Yang shakes his head, claiming he's no night patroller. But the guy smirks, pointing out his insane combat skills. He says that anyone who can solo a first-tier alien species is definitely way beyond some basic security guard. Chuckling through the pain, he admits that regular night watchers aren't even built like that. Annoyed, Yang seriously wonders if this clown even knows the words, "thank you," considering he literally just snatched his life right out of the grim. Catching the vibe, the kid flashes a cheeky grin and tells our boy he completely snapped out there. He instantly goes back to trolling, swearing he has never in his entire life seen someone use a freaking soy sauce bottle to absolutely demolish an alien. He keeps cracking jokes while coughing up literal chunks. Yang stares at him, baffled. How is this dude still vibing after taking that much critical damage? It seriously makes him wonder. Are all night watchers secretly unhinged? Shifting the topic, the guy drops the casual interrogation, asking for Yang's age in college. Yang lies right to his face. He claims he's a fresh sophomore over at North Metro Academy. He's totally capping, because there is zero chance he's doxing his actual personal info to a total random. Plot twist, the injured guy actually goes to that exact same university, so he immediately asks about Yang's major. Yang freezes like a deer in headlights. Sensing the awkward pause, the kid decides to drop it. But 2 seconds later, he confidently guesses Yang has to be in the hardcore martial arts department. Because let's be real, no squishy humanities major is going head-to-head with a top-tier boss monster. The guy just keeps yapping, eventually begging Yang for a quick smoke. Fresh out of nicotine, Yang casually slides him some cookies instead. The guy snatches the snacks, straight up calling Yang a cheapskate. Yang shoots back that he actually had a massive stash on him. But that brutal brawl completely crushed them, scattering crumbs all over the wasteland. He smirks, offering to grab a few if the guy is desperate, but the injured dude instantly gags at the thought of eating floor food. A heavy silence passes before the guy coughs, asking Yang if this is his very first time soloing an alien. Yang nods, confirming his rookie status. The guy sighs, spilling that he low-key envies the martial arts division, the testing squad, and hell, even the frontline combat crew. In his eyes, those guys just hit the ultimate genetic. He trashes his own stats, calling himself totally cursed with trash tier potential and zero mental fortitude. He completely writes himself off as a lost cause, admitting his power levels will not budge even after popping a Yuan Wang, that insane booster pill meant to instantly skyrocket combat output. Yang cuts him off, ordering him to save his breath and hold on to his fading energy, since he desperately needs to hold out until the extraction squad drops in. The guy gives a weak, broken smile, whispering that he just desperately needs someone to listen right now. He rambles on, explaining that the mental armor of ordinary, no matter how much they hype themselves up, their hearts always crack under the pressure. Their bodies just completely reject the alien corruption, totally failing to fight it off for long. Yang's eyes soften as he drops a heavy. The dude grips the dirt, his knuckles turning white as he confesses his massive regret. He was supposed to be a cozy desk jockey slacking off in a cubicle, sliding into girls' DMs when bored and maybe training the rookie night watchman. That was his entire vibe. Now he feels totally sucked into a brutal death trap with zero exit strategy. Another nasty coughing fit wrecks his lungs, making Yang snap at him to chill out before he permanently flatlines. Panting, the guy swears he smashed that SOS beacon ages ago, so the medics should literally be hovering right over them by now. His frantic eyes dart toward the unconscious kids scattered across the rubble. Yang jumps to his feet, ready to move, but the injured dude violently grabs his arm, warning him about creeping alien predators lurking nearby. He straight up tells the MC that his flashy dodge mechanics will not keep him alive forever against a massive swarm. He begs Yang to just drop back down and shoot the breeze with him until the cavalry actually shows up. Yang mentally groans, realizing this guy's relentless yapping is honestly way more torturous than the actual alien invasion. Still, Yang plops back down silently, enduring the guy's dramatic monologue about his glory days, flexing how utterly fearless he used to be. A bittersweet smile flashes across the dying man's face. He tasks Yang with a heavy mission. If you ever make it back to campus, you gotta pass on my massive apologies to the head of the Supernatural Tech Division. He desperately wants to say sorry for totally fumbling his potential and letting the boss down, since he pathetically failed to execute even a basic Tier 1 monster. Coughing up more blood, he adds Vice Director Juan from the Supernatural Lit Academy to the shout-out list, praising her solid mentorship. He totally cringes at her old lectures about dropping the ego in class, realizing it hits way too hard now, especially with her constant rants about passing the torch and fighting for humanity's raw survival. Trying to lighten the brutal mood, Yang jokes that he needs to pause and fetch a notebook for this massive will. Or better yet, just survive and deliver the emotional speeches himself. The man lets out a ragged sigh, confessing he has been bottling up this heavy baggage for way too long and just craves a genuine human connection before the end. His eyes glaze over as he whispers how dope it would be to stroll through the Northern Guard Academy one last time. Out of nowhere, he randomly demands another hit of those specific crackers. The dude is completely addicted to them. Yang playfully roasts his bizarre cravings, pointing out that spicy stick-flavored crackers are basically extinct in this apocalyptic wasteland. The fading soldier flashes one last weak grin, telling the MC to just brush it off. Suddenly, a massive surge of heavy spiritual pressure floods the area. The injured guy gasps. A huge wave of relief washes over Yang, knowing these pros can finally pull this guy from the brink of death. He swings his ragged gear over his shoulder, totally ready to bounce when the bloody guy weakly offers him an escort out. Yang throws up a peace sign, smoothly declining the carry. He prefers making the brutal trek. The guy cracks a faint smile and wishes him a safe trip. Yang says thanks and walks off, but glancing over his shoulder, he spots the night patrol rolling up. They radio in a recovered operative and 2 kids. His vitals and blood levels are tanking hard at 10%. One officer just solemnly shakes his head at his partner. Yang watches the guy's health bar plummet and wonders what the hell went wrong. With modern medtech, they totally could have pulled him through. As he warps back, he catches the officer snapping a crisp, heavy salute to the dying man. He reaches out, but it's way too late. His health has already flatlined to 0. Even so, a peaceful smirk remains frozen on the hero's face. Yang screams at them to hold on, but the teleportation already spat him back onto the city streets. The random bystanders are completely clueless about the tragedy that just went down. Some even think the dude's just acting for a movie. A massive jumbotron lights up with a night patrol broadcast reminding all awakened agents to never back down, even when staring death right in the face. If their survival odds look like absolute garbage, they gotta pop a specific pill, fully knowing the insane risks. We're talking a 90% fatality rate here, and even if they barely make it out alive, their lifespan gets brutally slashed. They call it compound number 3, the exact same drug that guy swallowed to obliterate the monster and rescue those innocent kids. The broadcast echoes on urging everyone to honor the fallen and keep pushing forward until every last threat is wiped off the map. They must secure the skies and the dirt, guarding humanity 24/7 while fighting for a brighter tomorrow. The night patrol has to face the terrifying unknown and smash the supernatural. Later on, our boy hits the elevator. Still dripping in blood, low-key questioning if that hero actually passed away. He was literally cracking jokes a second ago. But deep down, he just wanted someone to talk to before clocking out for good. No fancy flowers. No rounds of applause. He just faded away into the shadows like an absolute nobody. Yang vows to himself that no matter how ordinary the guy seemed, he'll never forget his sacrifice. Completely burned out, he decides to hit the showers and crash hard. Catching his reflection, he spots his health bar sitting at 55%, yet his legs are basically giving out. This low-key shocks him. He swore he was running on 20% at best. He flashes back to the hero chilling at 10% health like it was absolutely nothing. Turns out just grinding physical stats isn't enough. Raw willpower is an absolute must. Suddenly, a loud familiar voice shatters his thoughts. His girlfriend lounging on the couch immediately demands to know where the eggs are. The phone lines were dead and she couldn't reach him, so she asks if he grabbed her groceries. Yang quickly spins around to hide his blood-soaked fit, making up an excuse about the upcoming New Year's rush. He claims the supermarkets are absolute chaos, with people waiting in lines for hours on end. Then he asks how the heck she even got inside. She snaps back that since he basically lives off takeout, Uncle Lee begged her to keep an eye on his hopeless self. Lee was the one who handed over the spare key. Squinting, she spots the crimson stains and demands to know what went. Did he get into a street brawl? Sweating, Yang insists it's super late and tells her to head home, before Uncle Lee gets the wrong idea all over again. But she ain't having it. She grabs his arm and forcefully spins him around. He tries to shake her off, muttering that he's just starving and wants to whip up some instant ramen. Through the shredded fabric, she catches sight of his brutal gashes and violently gasps. She asks how he got so messed up. Panicking, Yang awkwardly stammers that he totally forgot the eggs. He scrambles for a lie, claiming he stumbled into a mugging, stepped in and threw hands with the crook. He brags about absolutely destroying the dude, telling her not to waste any tears on his behalf. By the time the cops showed up, he'd supposedly beaten the mugger so badly that the guy barely even looked human anymore. His girl is totally not buying his story. To prove his insane reflexes, he starts flexing, throwing some lightning-fast shadowboxing combos right in front of her. He keeps yapping, bragging about how he absolutely wrecked the guy until his own mom wouldn't recognize him. While he's hyping himself up, Yao Yao gently brushes the nasty bruises covering his face. Reality smacks him hard. As he realizes there is zero chance she believes a single word of his massive flex, she softly asks if he's hurting. But Yang just lets out a heavy sigh, mumbling about how badly he needs to get some sleep. She pushes back, insisting they gotta spill everything to Uncle Lai since he was out throwing hands in the dead of night. Panicking, Yang scrambles for excuses. He claims it wasn't a brawl, just him serving some vigilante justice. But she's still not having it. Completely drained, Yang collapses onto the floor, confessing he is way too busted up to even twitch. Yao Yao glares at him, demanding he hit up the hospital, but he just waves her off. He swears his home stash is stacked, even hyping up his own medicine as way better than whatever garbage the hospital hands out. She arches an eyebrow, asking if this is his sneaky way of getting her to patch him up. Flashing a cocky smirk, he calls her Dr. Liu and begs for her healing touch. The second she starts, he screams bloody murder, begging for medicine, instead of getting wrapped up like a straight-up mummy. Annoyed, she punches his shoulder, demanding to know if he's gonna pull this reckless stunt again. He instantly promises to chill out, but flat-out refuses to swear on it. Yao Yao clenches her fist, low-key threatening him, but Yang just nervously chuckles, muttering that throwing down is just hardwired into human nature. He tells her if it stresses her out that much, he'll just spectate and not jump in. Hearing that, she winds up for a smack, demanding what the heck he just muttered. He parrots it back, swearing to stay on the sidelines and only watch the chaos unfold next time. With a huff, Yao Yao spins around to leave. As she's walking away, Yang yells out, shooting his shot and suggesting she crash the night since his bed is huge. She sticks her tongue out at him and violently slams the door shut. Sprawled out, he tries to rest, but his brain will not shut up. About that mysterious dude he crossed paths with in the Shadow Realm. The guy begged him to pass on a warning to protect the Northern Guard Academy. After a heavy, silent pause, Yang jolts upright. It just hit him, he didn't even catch the name of the man. Right then, the system pings, dropping lore about the beast he slaughtered in the Shadow Realm. It is a phantom-class mob chilling at level 1. This nightmare fuel crawled straight out of the lower abyss, deeply rooted in pure darkness and shadows. The system drops a massive red flag. Anyone marked by this creep is wide open to sneak attacks. Yang somehow managed to absolutely wreck the monster despite rocking a busted arm. He cashes in some sweet shadow points for the kill. He starts wondering if his kill count gets tracked somewhere, or if he needs to drain the shadows, using his Shadow Devourer skill to actually log the kills. Suddenly, a shiny new system prompt pops up for his latest ability. The system breaks it down. Shadow Assault is a ghost-like strike that completely blindsides enemies. And that first hit dishes out absolutely catastrophic damage. Hyped Yang posts up in the middle of his room and screams the skill name at the top of his lungs, but absolutely nothing happens. He frowns, wondering if the system is glitching out or if he just needs a live dummy to test it on. Whatever, he decides to try it out later. Swiping open his stats panel, he scans his profile. His name is Yang. His attribute is Shadow, and he has stacked up 14 Shadow points. He has now officially unlocked the Rogue class, a whole build dedicated to striking from the abyss. His loadout now features Shadow Devourer, Shadow Eyes, and Shadow Form. Reading through all these wild descriptions, Yang cannot help but wonder how the heck the system even coded these crazy RPG mechanics. Right on cue, the system chimes in announcing his shadow just got a massive upgrade. He can now totally manipulate it, even fusing with the darkness to trigger a special state. Yang squints at the screen, wondering if this is another sick new skill. The system confirms it as Shadow Form. It's finally unlocked, grinding in this form. That's his ticket to skyrocketing his power level. His aura melts straight into the shadows, turning him into a literal ghost. Sure, he can rock this shadow mode out in the real world, but it's gonna drain his shadow points fast. The craziest part, this form has 0 fatal weak spots, meaning even if someone chops his head clean off, he won't drop dead. He'll just lose a massive chunk of health. Jiang is absolutely shook reading this. That last perk sounds like an absolute godsend, until he spots if he gets decapitated instead of dying, his health plummets to exactly 1%. So basically, bro just got completely scammed. He screams out loud, figuring it's way better to die instantly than suffer some dragged-out execution. Still, it's a pretty sick ability to have in his arsenal. He decides to take it for a spin by summoning his shadow. Jiang simply lifts a single finger, and instantly the pitch-black silhouette beneath him mimics the motion flawlessly. The moment his hand brushes against it, the darkness aggressively crawls up his skin, swallowing his entire body whole. Checking out his sick new form, he honestly questions if this is even his own flesh anymore. It feels totally bizarre, but crazy intoxicating. Breathing out a heavy sigh, he suddenly blitzes across the room in the literal blink of an eye. The sheer shockwave from his speed sends everything crashing down behind him. Realizing just how insanely fast he's become, a massive rush of flexing his new strength, he hoists his heavy bed up with 0 effort, tossing it around like it weighs absolutely nothing. Wanting to really push his limits, he grabs a 100-kilo sledgehammer and completely bashes his own face in. The heavy impact, 0 damage. His shadowy body doesn't even have a scratch. He bursts into a manic laugh, hyping himself up over how ridiculously overpowered this new form actually is. Suddenly, his downstairs neighbor violently interrupts his hype moment, yelling at him to keep the noise down. Totally satisfied with his shadowy power trip, he drops the form and shifts back to normal. Flicking open his system interface, something super intriguing catches his eye. There's a brand new hidden feature just begging to be activated. Wondering what the catch is, he taps to read the fine print. The system explains that right now he only holds partial authority over his current class, and he hasn't even fully awakened it yet. But if he triggers this activation, it locks in as an exclusive one-of-a-kind class skill that nobody else can ever unlock. But of course, the system drops a massive warning about fatal risks involved with the process. Jiang instantly hesitates. That glowing blood-red word risk flashes on the screen, making him seriously rethink this whole thing. But then, a second prompt pops up, reminding him that high stakes usually drop the best loot. Taking a deep breath to weigh his options, he violently hits yes. The second he confirms, this sinister pitch-black sludge erupts straight out of the system window and lunges right at him. His confident smirk instantly shatters into pure, terrified panic. Before he can even flinch, the dark sludge completely swallows him alive, twisting into a suffocating cocoon around his body. A medicine bottle slips right through his numb fingers and shatters violently into pieces across the cold floor. The lights inside his dingy apartment aggressively flicker as a single drop of medicine splatters on the ground. Suddenly, the system spits out a fresh, glaring message, officially branding him with the title of Hunter. A brutal system warning pops up: if he doesn't absolutely dominate the hunt, he will be slaughtered by it. He is now a natural-born predator, meaning every single one of his strikes will now deal massively boosted damage, and the system doesn't stop there, spamming him with even more crazy updates. The first catch: ranged weapons like guns, bows, or sneaky poisons won't get that sweet extra damage buff. The second rule: staying dead silent and completely off the radar is an absolute must, because his literal street cred as a lethal assassin is what dictates his ultimate success. The third note is straight up terrifying. Not even the gods can escape. Jiang stares down at his trembling hands, trying to wrap his head around this insane info dump. At the exact same time, another alert pops up, revealing that triggering his shadow form will completely break his killing potential. He won't need to consume nearly as much blood to keep his stamina maxed out. And the best part, once an enemy's health drops low enough, boom, instant one-shot decapitation. The second they hit that weak threshold, the target's health bar turns completely crimson, exposing their exact fatal weak point. Striking that glowing mark triggers a brutal cinematic execution, instantly deleting the target from existence. The system throws in a quick reminder though, this broken execution move heavily depends on variables like his current blood meter, as well as the raw strength and busted abilities of whatever monster he's fighting. A brutal flashback of his last showdown hits him hard. Wait, was this the exact same overpowered buff that triggered when he completely wrecked his last opponent? The thought totally consumes him as he desperately tries to process this crazy new intel. Stacking absolute damage with those wild execution skills, bro literally feels like an untouchable god right now. With a broken kit like this, taking the W is basically guaranteed. He casually throws his hand up in total triumph. But then, something feels seriously off. It clicks. The system definitely dropped a massive warning about the risks. Jiang frantically rips off his blood-soaked bandages, bracing himself for some nasty gashes. But instead, his skin is literally flawless. Not a single scratch. Total mind-bending confusion instantly washes over. Those brutal wounds should absolutely still be there. Even the deepest, most jagged cuts vanished without a trace. Normal meds just do not work this insanely fast. Suddenly it all clicks. This crazy, overpowered healing factor has to be tied directly to his shadow form. Cut to the next day. Yao Yao's bestie asks if she caught wind of Jiang's insane street brawl, totally doubting the rumors. On the glowing screen, his profile flexes a selfie with a wild caption claiming he tanked 88 hits during a massive turf war. But zooming in on the pic, there is zero damage. The guy looks completely untouched. She spills the tea, saying Jiang slid into her DMs about getting jumped by some shady human traffickers. Bro was apparently wielding a massive watermelon knife and went full savage mode, slicing his way down the entire block without even blinking. The other girl, eyes glued to her screen, mutters, wondering if Jiang actually got roughed up, and hypes them up to go check on him in person. Yao Yao just sits there listening to this total nonsense before shaking her head with a heavy sigh. She quickly shuts it down, telling them to chill. Jiang wasn't in some epic deathmatch. Literally the only thing that happened yesterday was him getting chased by a stray dog. She rolls her eyes, totally convinced he is just clout chasing. The squad finally pulls up to his place and she tells them to march right in and see his fake injuries for themselves. But as she casually jams the key into the lock, her friends immediately give her the side-eye, asking how on earth she even has his house keys. She instantly panics, her face flushing as she quickly stammers out an excuse about Uncle Lee handing them over. Swinging the door wide open, she fully expects to see him cosplaying a mummy in bandages. Instead, she freezes, totally stunned to find him crumpled on the floor, groaning in sheer agony. She instantly drops everything and dashes over to him, screaming at him for ripping off his medical dressings. Jiang winces, muttering that he peeled them off because he genuinely thought the gaping wound had already closed up. The girls suddenly lock eyes, realizing he wasn't just flexing for the timeline, the crazy dude was actually spitting straight facts. They instantly start swooning over his shredded abs, aggressively invading his personal space until an annoyed Yao Yao ruthlessly shoves them out and demands they wait in the living room. With that intensely jealous energy, the two besties are now 100% convinced that Jiang and Yao Yao are secretly dating. Meanwhile, gently starts dabbing some thick ointment onto his raw flesh, making Jiang violently flinch and hiss from the burning sting. She glares at him, snapping at him to stop being such a massive crybaby, knowing damn well this specific gel doesn't even sting. But honestly, Jiang completely ignores her, scolding his eyes, totally glued to her incredibly long legs. Catching him staring, she instantly scowls and threatens to tag in the clumsy Xiaopeng to finish patching him up. Jiang aggressively shoots that idea down, protesting that the big guy is an absolute walking disaster. She ruthlessly pinches his cheeks way too hard, playfully roasting him about how Uncle Lee hasn't disciplined him in ages. She drops the smile and demands the real truth about yesterday's bloodbath, totally refusing to buy that pathetic mugging excuse. He puffs up his chest, claiming he is a massive champion of justice, always stepping up to protect the weak. But his deeply unamused girlfriend isn't buying a single word of his superhero fantasy. He internally panics, desperately wondering how to spin this. Casually dropping that he slaughtered a grotesque mutant in the shadow lair and watched a night patroller bleed out. Yeah, that sounds completely unhinged. Dodging the bullet, he pivots, bringing up her dad and casually asking if he made it home last night. Her vibe shifts as she admits he never showed immediately, questioning why he'd even bring that up. Jang awkwardly stares at the floor, his face darkening with genuine anxiety. He quietly mutters that surviving as a night patroller is insanely brutal, grinding nonstop through the daylight hours only to face literal death traps all night. It is completely reckless. Hearing this dark reality, Yao Yao just sits there frozen in a heavy, deafening silence. He steals a glance at her trembling frame, immediately realizing she is practically sick with worry over her dad's safety. Because being a night patroller isn't just a basic 9 to 5 gig, it is a literal nightmare waiting to happen. I mean, Uncle Lee got his arm brutally shredded on duty, and that poor kid he met in the shadow dimension bled out before he even hit 20. A powerhouse like his dad just suffered some brutal injuries, which means his progression in this lifetime is completely dead in the water. Yao Yao locks eyes with him, asking if he plans on joining the night patrol once he crushes the martial arts exam. He chews on the thought for a second before admitting he is totally on the fence. Then with a cheeky smirk he jokes about whether the night patrol is packed with cute girls, instantly ticking her off. Meanwhile, his two buddies are practically pressing their ears against the door, dying to know the tea. Unable to hold back, they finally crash the room. Yang demands to know why they are crashing his spot, and they admit they were totally stressing over his condition. He waves off their panic, telling them to chill out and grab a seat. The second they settle down, Yang dives right back in, spinning a totally wild made-up story. His girl rolls her eyes, convinced he is just flexing again. Grabbing her stuff for a grocery run, she asks if she should just trash his shredded clothes, since they are basically rags. Barely glancing her way, he tells her to dump them and keeps hyping up his tale. But suddenly reality smacks him in the face. He practically teleports towards Yao Yao. "Hold up," he yells frantically, swearing he left something in those pockets. Talk about an anticlimax, a pack of sanitary pads instantly flops out of his shirt. Yao Yao stares at the floor, absolutely baffled, and demands to know why on earth he brought those here. Sweating bullets, Yang scratches the back of his neck and mumbles that he snagged them from the store yesterday because she was complaining about killer stomach cramps. Off to the side, one of the friends instantly snaps a pic, totally ready to leak this absolute gold to the entire class chat. Yang awkwardly shoves the bag into her hands, asking if she needs anything else. Blushing with absolute rage, she chucks the bag right back at his chest, screaming that she does not need a single thing. Playing dumb, he stares blankly, asking why she is suddenly throwing such a massive tantrum. The two buddies exchange a look, assuming it is just classic relationship drama, and quietly dip out. With the room finally empty, Yang is totally free to push his powers to the absolute limit. He commands his shadow to merge with his body, gearing up for an insane workout. Pitch-black darkness completely swallows his figure, dragging him straight into the shadow realm. Even though this dimension is choking with heavy pollution, he feels insanely energized. It hits him like a breath of fresh air, like someone trapped in a smog-choked factory city their whole life, suddenly stepping out into endless breezy green plains. His HP is chilling at 60%, but every ounce of pain instantly evaporates and his health bar starts rapidly ticking back up. A fierce glowing aura erupts from his body as he drops into his stance. His veins are practically buzzing with infinite explosive power. Before long, he is cranking out hundreds of push-ups like an absolute machine. The system flashes a pop-up. His dark form has officially breached the shadow layer. He starts farming shadow points from the grind, and every single rep stacks his raw strength even higher. His muscles pack on even more power. Hitting exactly 1,000 reps, he decides to pause and head outside. The outside world is hauntingly dead and hollow. He smirks, thinking he would be swimming in disciples if he flexed this kind of power in the real world. To show off to nobody, he grabs a bar and starts repping out one-armed pull-ups like it is nothing. Meanwhile, back at Night Patrol headquarters, a massive, high-stakes briefing is about to kick off. Executive Liu sits stone-faced at the head of the table, while an agent breaks down the latest dark energy spikes. The scout reports that the dark fluctuations are sweeping across a massive radius, and the shockwaves are completely off the charts. Contamination levels are skyrocketing, bleeding outward like a toxic infection. A few of their elite squads have spotted identical abyssal rifts ripping open in completely different zones. A female officer takes over the debriefing, pointing out that the spread of these shockwaves is heavily targeting crowded residential zones this time around. It is totally weird, considering these rifts used to just pop up randomly across the map. The file confirms that this freaky paranormal activity has been spiking over the past few days. They have logged 4 bizarre cases where innocent civilians got dragged straight into the shadow layer, sucked right into the dark side. Kidnappings like this are ultra rare, but the squad is sweating over whether these attacks are about to snowball. One thing is certain, the abyssal rifts are getting way more lethal. The chaos bleeding out from the shadow realm is bad enough, but stacking those shadow-crazed freaks up against regular savage beasts, the abyssal rifts absolutely take the cake. I mean, literal Godzilla could come crashing out of those things at any second. Uncle Lee, who's just been chilling in the corner this whole time, suddenly chimes in. In his eyes, there's zero reason to stress out. He reminds the room that they've been gearing up for this exact showdown for ages. The entire squad, including Executive Lou, immediately shoots him a massive death glare. Catching the vibe, Lee nervously waves them on to finish the briefing. The grim presentation rolls on, highlighting a heartbreaking roster of Night Guardians who recently dropped in the line of duty. Fast forward to post-meeting. Lou just stands there totally zoned out while staring through the massive floor-to-ceiling window. He reaches for his smokes, agonizing over why these insane anomalies always seem to pop off right around New Year's. He blindly fumbles for a lighter, only to realize his daughter swapped out his cigarettes for biscuit sticks. Again. Suddenly, a fresh pack of smokes comes flying at his head. It's Lee. He smirks, telling Lou to wipe that permanent scowl off his face before offering him a light. Lou shuts him down hard, deadpanning that he has zero plans to speedrun lung cancer. Lee immediately starts trolling him, calling him a total wimp. But the boss isn't having it. He orders Lee to spill the tea if he actually stayed after hours just to pry. Dropping the jokes, Lee reveals that top brass just pushed down another official mandate. Lou's expression instantly darkens as he demands the details. Hearing the drop, Lou looks downright stressed. He immediately interrogates Lee to see if the intel is locked in. Lee just shrugs, pointing out that the memo should already be sitting in Lou's inbox. Lou fires up his monitor. Meanwhile, Lee pivots, asking if Lou has figured out his daughter's career path yet. He wants to know if she's locking into the hardcore supernatural combat division or sticking to basic humanities. Lou sighs, admitting everything is still up in the air. He's planning to stall until the official aptitude exams wrap up. The flashing red alert on the screen explicitly states that any candidates hitting 2nd grade or higher in the elite supernatural tier must follow strict protocols. They are absolutely required to jump into the lethal aptitude trials and officially lock in a hardcore specialized major. Flipping the script, the boss asks Lee what Yang's endgame is. He bluntly adds that the kid is shady as hell and definitely hiding something. Lou is super curious to see which insane supernatural branch that wild card will actually pick. But Lee drops a bomb. Yang isn't picking any of them. Lou's jaw practically hits the floor. He demands to know if Lee is forcing the kid into the elite human sciences division. Nope. Lee straight up says he wants Yang trapped in the basic, boring, regular curriculum. Lou thinks he's capping, especially since Yang hasn't even crushed the entry trials yet. The moment that kid aces the exam, the system will drag him into the advanced ranks whether he likes it or not. Lee slowly rises from his chair, dropping the ultimate plot twist. With that mic drop, he casually strolls out of the room, leaving Lou stranded with a mountain of official paperwork. Cut to the hallway. A pink-haired assistant bursts in, clutching a massive stack of folders, quickly stammering an apology for the sudden intrusion. Lou brushes it off, demanding to know what kind of crisis brought her sprinting into his office. She slams down a fresh alert pinged straight out of the Shadow Realm. The intel details an entirely new breed of monster. A weirdly polite shadow beast that is absolutely obsessed with getting gains. Pitch black, shrouded in total darkness. The file notes that this thing first spawned right in the middle of the Shinju residential complex's courtyard. They're guessing it glitched into the area by total accident. Bizarrely, this Jimbro monster just wants to pump iron and actually uses real workout equipment. And the wildest part, it has practically zero aggro and doesn't even want to fight. The official intel drops a wild detail: this bizarre beast actually greets the scouts the second they step into its zone. The threat level for this shadow is basically rock bottom, with its kill count currently sitting at a flat 0. The recon squad just flagged a totally bizarre entity lurking right outside the residential zone. It's throwing massive errors in the database, 0 matches, so they're kicking it up the chain to get the executive's take. Lou has literally never seen anything this freaky. Smash cut to the Shadow Realm, where our boy Yang is busy vlogging a monster spider. He's casually telling his chat that this creepy crawler packs way more protein per ounce than a bowl of rice. He hypes up the spider meat, claiming it's super tender and absolutely fire. Just slap a quick sear on the outside. And boom, it's cooked. He swears that once you take a bite, it won't hit like beef or lamb. It just hits straight up like spider meat. He slams that upload button. He's honestly kicking himself for not realizing his audience would eat up these aesthetic Shadow Realm sneak peeks. But now, oh, he knows. He's totally convinced he's about to blow up and go mega viral. Scrolling through his feed after posting, he notices everyone and their mom is suddenly dropping content, flexing their awakened abilities. Which is super sketch considering he was strictly banned from posting stuff like that online. But suddenly, a terrifying system prompt crashes his screen. Go hunt or drop dead. Yang totally freaks out and frantically spams the alert. His blood runs cold when he spots his remaining lifespan is sitting at only 100 hours. panic instantly sets in, knowing he's only got 100 hours left to live. What the heck? Yang has absolutely zero clue why the system just slapped him with this death sentence. Then it hits him. Activating those high-tier class abilities always comes with massive backlash. This insane countdown, yeah, it's definitely the fatal price of unlocking the assassin. He takes a deep breath, forcing himself to lock in and find a loophole, squinting at the fine print. The system spells it out as an apex predator in this game. He's got to keep dropping bodies if he wants to buy himself more time on the clock. So long as he hunts, he stays breathing. But the wildest part, the text claims that even if his physical body gets wiped out, some other freaky state of being will totally persist. He has zero idea what that cryptic nonsense means, and why the heck is the system cheerfully promising he'll be so happy. When he wakes up in this hellhole, Plan B: beg Uncle Lee for a massive carry if he totally chokes on his first monster hunt. His eyes lock onto the giant spider. Yeah, this bad boy has to go down first, if he wants to scrape together a few more hours of survival. Might as well monetize the struggle, right? He decides to vlog the whole takedown for that sweet internet clout. He props up his trusty phone to get the perfect cinematic angle. He's not even stressing about getting doxxed, because he's running a ghost account straight from the Night Patrol Bureau's secure servers. Slipping seamlessly into his shadow form, he smashes that go live button. He's got a stash of gold coins ready, planning to test just how broken his new skills really are. "What's up, chat?" he whispers, doing a quick intro for the viewers piling into the stream. He points out the absolutely massive nightmare fuel creature lurking just ahead. The chat immediately blows up with hype emojis, totally stoked to see him face off against this monstrous spider. Creeping forward like an absolute ghost. He doesn't make a single peep. The beast is dead to the world right now. He whips out a heavy-duty iron pipe, a premium weapon he literally dropped some serious cash on. Suddenly, the spider shifts awake, but thanks to his insane stealth buff, it completely looks right past his shadow form. Time for the main event. He triggers his execution skill, scanning the beast for a fatal flaw. Boom, target locked. He goes in for the kill. Flashback to 30 minutes ago, the giant spider just spawned into this dimension perfectly unharmed. Honestly, the spider is straight up vibing here. Unlike the suffocating abyss, this place is insanely chill with zero terrifying predators. Knowing it's basically a low-level mob, the spider tries to play it super safe. It shivers, remembering a brutal turf war with a psycho rival, just moments ago. It took some serious damage but managed to score a massive meal. Now it just wants to crash and let its HP regenerate. Right as it starts dozing off, some annoying human disrupts its peace. Its instincts scream that an attack is coming. But wait, where is he? It literally can't see the guy anywhere. Spooked, it scurries off to find a safer spot to camp out. Cut back to now. Yang brutally whacks it with the iron pipe, instantly feeling raw shadow energy bleed out of its shell. He quickly figures out the meta, striking specific pressure points, leeches all its hidden power. He smirks. The spider is already down to just 40% HP. It's barely hanging on, bleeding out massive amounts of dark blood. Yang winds up for another brutal strike, but the massive spider thrashes back, slamming right into him. But wait. To his absolute shock, there's zero pain. The beast is hemorrhaging fast, and Yang smirks, realizing his critical strike completely shattered its weak point. He triggers his Shadow Strike ability, totally mind-blown by how smoothly he melts right into the pitch-black darkness. Moving like a phantom rogue, it clicks. And he doesn't even need to brawl with this freak head-on. He can just lurk, waiting for that perfect window to strike. Bracing for the kill shot, the ultimate game of cat and mouse begins. Cut to a girl lounging with her phone, tuning into a live stream where some guy hyping up the chat announces, bragging that the Night Patrol is out here keeping the city safe. He waves to his viewers, flexing that he's officially on duty tonight. Tonight's content, wiping out trash tier others. She totally zones out, instantly swiping right past him to the next stream. Next up is a green-haired streamer. She cheerfully greets the chat, vlogging her late-night food run at some hidden alleyway diner. Kicking her feet up in the air, she ruthlessly skips that one too. Another swipe reveals some dude ranting about how slammed he's been. Swipe again. A girl chatting about helping out her family. The camera briefly catches a messy bed scattered with a jacket, some underwear, and a random magazine. Another vlogger dramatically yaps about how her lighter is practically her soulmate, and losing it means she is literally cooked. The white-haired girl scrolling is absolutely dying of boredom. She groans out loud, complaining that the internet is a total snooze fest right now. But then, her thumb stops. She just stumbled onto absolute gold. She lands on Yang's live feed, where he coolly introduces his streaming persona as Yu repping the northern capital. In the background of his stream, bizarre freak show creatures are swarming the night sky while a massive monster aggressively vaults across the rooftops. She instantly jolts upright, completely glued to the screen. Her heart starts racing, totally hyped as she desperately tries to figure out if these insane monsters are legit or just some top-tier CGI. Streaming under his alias Yu, our guy casually points over his shoulder, introducing the nightmare lurking right behind him. A shadow spider. A first-rank ancient phantom. Basically the absolute lowest tier trash when it comes to others. The live chat absolutely explodes. Thirsty fans are spamming how insanely hot and badass Yu looks, while others are just randomly trauma dumping in the comments. One fangirl is crying about being too broke to drop premium donations, totally ignoring the chaotic chat. Yu casually drops lore explaining that the heavy chains dragging behind the spider emit cursed, nightmare-inducing shrieks that regular humans are never supposed to hear. The white-haired girl violently squints at her screen, getting seriously annoyed by the chat. She mutters that these trolls are absolute brain-dead morons, cringing at their toxic internet behavior. Imagine if their parents actually saw the unhinged garbage they were posting online. But then she freezes her thumbs, flying across the keyboard to drop her own comment. Meanwhile on stream, Yu literally morphs into pure shadow, vanishing completely into the pitch-black night. Her jaw literally drops. She furiously types in the chat, demanding to know if this guy is actually some kind of overpowered awakened being. A wicked smirk creeps onto her face as she realizes this late-night scroll just went from 0 to 100. Bam! Yu materializes right behind the freakish spider, viciously hurling a heavy steel pipe straight at its back. The monster screeches in sheer agony, rearing up on its grotesque back legs. Out of nowhere, a blinding crimson beam erupts from the concrete, violently impaling the beast. The massive creature violently stumbles sideways, completely blindsided by the explosive sneak attack. Yu nonchalantly taps the raging monster's shoulder. As the beast furiously whips around, he flashes a cocky, wicked grin. "I'm right over here." The enraged spider lunges for the kill, but Yu he mercilessly roasts the monster, mocking how pathetic it is to miss every shot when it literally has 8 huge legs. Huddled tightly under her blankets, the white-haired girl is violently fangirling, spamming the chat about how insanely fast and flawlessly gorgeous this Yu guy is. Without warning, the beast spews a massive wave of toxic purple sludge, flooding the entire area in flesh-melting acid. It hisses in triumph, dead certain it just trapped him. But then, Yu's super arrogant voice drops straight from above. He brutally taunts the bug, asking if it seriously thought a little puddle of acid could actually leave. The monster snaps its grotesque head up, spotting him perched high on a rooftop. Yu just coldly mutters that shadows literally exist everywhere before violently dive-bombing straight down. The spider unloads a tidal wave of acid to melt him alive, but Yu effortlessly glides right through the chaos, literally phasing through solid concrete buildings like a glitch. Gripping his heavy steel pipe with deadly intent, he officially declares his new badass title, the ultimate hunter of the shadows. He admits the endless bloodshed has completely fried his memories. The only thing left in his head is his own name. Out of nowhere, he violently rams his staff straight through the spider's skull. The beast screeches in agony, but he just keeps utterly demolishing it, coldly declaring his name. Yu. Pressing his bare palm against the giant carcass, he triggers his Shadow Devour skill, violently sucking out every drop of its dark essence. Pitch-black energy straight up vaporizes the spider's remains, funneling all that raw power directly into Yu's veins. Ghostly white ribbons spiral around his body, morphing into a slick, glowing cape. He smirks. The hunt done deal. Meanwhile, the chat goes absolutely feral. The viewers are totally stunned, feeling like they're watching a straight-up Marvel movie play out in real time. Honestly, half the audience is already simping. One girl literally clutches her phone to her chest, totally starstruck. It's been way too long since she's seen anything this incredibly hype. Without missing a beat, she clicks straight onto his profile. His username reads Yu the Assassin. And get this, he's already sitting at 722,000 likes and 89,000 followers. She desperately needs to get on his radar. Smashing that follow button, she figures she might actually be able to slide into his DMs. She instantly drops him a message begging him to take on a high-tier assassination quest for a massive payout. Back with Yu, the system finally drops the lore on that shadow spider. It was just a mid-tier level 1 beast. A freakish leftover from some ancient demonic bloodline. Those creepy patterns on its shell, that's its power level. The crazier the design, the more toxic the corruption it leaves behind. Just staring at it too long could straight up mess you up. This thing comes packed with acid webs and ancient demonic rot. And taking it down, it triggers a crazy, mind-bending sensory trip. But thanks to his Shadow Bite skill, Yu scores 2 massive drops. First up, the power to weave his very own shadow web, plus all of the monster's unspent shadow points. He's honestly kind of bummed out though. Just a measly mid-tier level 1, he scoffs to himself. Suddenly another glowing screen pops up. It's system reminder number 3. A true hunter thrives in total darkness. The sneakier you are, the faster your infamy skyrockets. And because his rep just leveled up, the system rewards him with some sick new hunter abilities. Now he can physically mark his prey, making it insanely easy to spot their fatal weak points. The system breaks it down. He locks onto enemies by feeding off their raw fear and dark negative vibes. But there's a catch. The mark literally only lasts for 1 single second. Grind that reputation up and the timer extends. But beware, tagging a target drains his energy and completely doxes his hiding spot. So he's got to be incredibly tactical. The upside, chasing down a marked target gives him a massive boost to his agility and raw strength. And if he successfully bags the kill, boom, one of his core stats or skills gets a permanent upgrade. Unlike marking them, the actual hunt doesn't drain his stamina. But since his hunting window is locked to the mark's insanely short timer, he has to absolutely speedrun the execution. Kill the target fast and he gets a massive boost to his infamy. Reading through the wall of text, Yu just scratches the back of his neck, completely baffled by all the new mechanics. He's trying to figure out if his authority just unlocked. And honestly, when did he even get famous? Checking his insane viewer count, it hits him this massive explosion of clout has to be from a live stream. And if the internet is watching, he's ready to put on a show. He resolves to hunt down even deadlier prey, farm those subs, and unlock some insane new powers. By treating this like a brutal game, he knows his strength and skills will hit god-tier levels, totally locked in. He decides to go absolutely feral today. Suddenly a glowing red target icon flashes in his vision. What the hell is that? Peering through the gloom, he spots a massive, grotesque purple beast covered in wicked spikes down its spine, just lurking menacingly behind an apartment block. His adrenaline instantly spikes. He lets out a crazy, thrilled laugh jackpot, without a single second of hesitation. He dives straight off the street lamp, smashing into the concrete below. The hunt is officially on. A totally unhinged psychopathic grin spreads across his face. Smash cut to a random apartment building, where our boy suddenly takes an absolute haymaker straight to the jaw. The impact literally knocks him back. He grabs his burning cheek, wincing and yelping in pain. The attacker, Yao Yao, she's towering over him, absolutely fuming, demanding to know what the hell is going on and who he's been brawling with. Not even giving him a chance to defend himself, she whips out some antiseptic and forcefully dabs his cuts with cotton. Relax. It's fine, he stammers, desperately trying to chill her out. He doubles down, insisting he is destined for hero status, and she just wouldn't get the grind. Hearing this, she fires back, asking if he knows a single hero, who walks around looking like a bruised-up punching bag 24/7. She calls him out for flexing hard with absolutely zero skills to back it up, shutting down his arguments before he can even start. She aggressively shoves cotton swabs up his bleeding nose, warning him to stay out of the street brawls until he actually levels up his combat game. He grinds his teeth, clearly triggered, but instantly pivots. With pure swagger, he claims he could heal these gashes in literally seconds, just by tapping into his shadow form. He swears he only kept it deactivated so she could play nurse. Her face instantly drops the annoyance, replaced by pure curiosity, as she demands to know what on earth he means by that. Sweating, he desperately tries to change the subject. He grabs a water bottle casually, suggesting a movie night instead. She shrugs deadpan, mentioning that the streaming apps are totally dry right now, casually scrolling through her phone. But then she drops a bomb. Some random YouTuber has been blowing up the internet lately. A super awkward, embarrassed blush creeps across her cheeks as she brings him up. Catching her weird vibe, he raises an eyebrow and asks who this guy even is. Dodging the question entirely, she shoves her phone right into his face, practically forcing him to watch the screen. His heart drops. Right there on the display is his actual shadow ego introducing himself as Yu, the edgy memory assassin lurking in the dark. The sheer cringe leaves him absolutely paralyzed, making him violently choke on his water, hacking up a lung. Low-key panicked, she asks if he is dying, totally confused. Why a video got him acting so shook. Desperately trying to play it cool, he waves her off, gasping that he is totally fine. Then, sweating bullets, he hesitatingly asks if she has been binging this channel. She hits him with a massive fangirl nod, bragging that she has been a loyal sub for 2 whole days. This mystery creator has literally skyrocketed into being the most viral, unhinged icon on the web right now. Squirming in his seat, he nervously scratches his neck, asking if the hype is actually real. Sure, the clout sounds incredible, but panic sets in. What if flexing these powers goes totally wrong and lands him in deep legal trouble? Realizing just how fast he went viral, paranoia hits hard. The night patrol could easily hunt him down. Catching on to his sudden freakout, she warns him to keep his mouth totally shut about the supernatural stuff. She promises the current drama won't ruin his personal rep, so he needs to chill. Switching gears, she hypes him up to watch a brutal real-life mutant brawl online. Grabbing his hand, she practically leans into his personal space, eyes gleaming as she asks if he thinks this creator is straight fire. She hypes him up, insisting he needs to take notes from this absolute legend. Dying inside, he just stares at the glowing screen, utterly muted by the cringe. She refuses to let it go, forcing him to watch another clip while explaining that internet sleuths are literally breaking down his every move. Taking in her crazy fan energy, a tiny amused smirk breaks through his panic. Then out of nowhere she whips around asking if she could totally make it as a viral star too. Dodging her eyes, he roasts her jokingly, asking if she really plans to film herself dancing outside in an oversized jacket trying to be a shadow lord. She snaps back, telling him to get lost proudly, declaring she could just drop lore videos explaining supernatural tea. He bursts her bubble, asking if she seriously thinks she can outshine the hardcore veterans from the night patrol just by reading some random wiki pages. He savagely adds that stepping outside dressed in that crazy getup is basically a free invitation for internet creeps to track her down. Big mistake. She scowls, hitting him with a pure, unadulterated death glare. Not backing down, he points right back, reminding her of her massive fail last time. Utterly lost, she blinks, demanding to know what the heck he is talking about. Before he even gets a word out, bam, she teleports right behind him, jamming the cold steel of a gun directly into his spine. With ice in her voice, she interrogates him. Did he seriously get wrecked while stalking somebody? Jolting in pure terror, his hands shoot straight up in surrender, as he desperately begs for his life, swearing it was just a prank bro, though she is absolutely not buying it. She shoves the cold barrel of her gun straight into his chest, her eyes blazing as she demands to know why the hell she should trust a single word he says. Throwing his hands up, he scrambles to defuse the bomb that is her temper. Look, officer, just cut me some slack here, he begs, sweating bullets. But she shuts that down instantly. With an ice-cold glare, she barks at him to get his butt off the floor and start cooking. Totally wiped out, he face plants onto the couch and pulls up his personal DMs. Thank God she's finally out of his hair. But the second he tries to chill, his screen lights up. He stares at a massive flood of wild notifications. Randoms are swarming his inbox, demanding to know who he actually is and why his clips are getting leaked everywhere. Half of them are grilling him about secret ties to the night patrol, while the rest are calling Cap, claiming the whole thing is completely staged. People are begging for more drops, while skeptics swear the footage is totally deepfaked. Scrolling through the absolute chaos, one rumor keeps popping up. Followers are tagging him, screaming that some clout chaser named Real Deal just totally exposed his secret. Now he's invested. He taps the link, jumping straight to the dude's channel, only to find some old boomer live streaming to the masses. The guy welcomes his chat, hyping them up by saying they aren't doing the usual food reviews today. Nope, today they're hunting down a massive fraud. He stirs the pot, asking his viewers if they've caught the viral clip and whether they think it's actually legit. He sets the stage, announcing a live reaction, promising to completely rip the footage apart, analyzing it frame by frame on his rig. Sure enough, the screen flashes. It's Yang's insane showdown with that giant spider mutant. The boomer freezes the playback on a split-second frame, zooming in and daring his chat to spot the glaring jump cut, glitching right between the two frames. His final verdict: the entire fight is totally fake news. He even points his finger at the background, loudly claiming the environment was fully scrubbed to hide the absolute garbage CGI. Yang sits there totally stunned. Isn't this dude literally just a mukbang vlogger who rates random diners? Why the hell is a food critic trying to leech off his viral fame? All he did was chop out a few super cringe moments, and now he's getting heavily cancelled over it. The live streamer then hits the chat with his big reveal on why he's debunking this specific clip. He dramatically flips his phone to the camera, flexing a shiny verified badge on his profile. The guy brags that he's an actual night patrol veteran who has completely slaughtered endless hordes of monsters back in the day. And because of that elite status, he claims he can sniff out a fake poser from a mile away. But the internet moves fast and the topic quickly shifts. Yang taps the comment section, watching thousands of toxic replies flood his screen in real time. A few hardcore defenders are pushing back, arguing there is zero way a casual editor could fake the terrifying vibe of the Shadow Realm. But the haters are screaming back. If it's so real, why chop it up? Was the whole badass persona just Cap from day one? The chat is a total war zone. Fence sitters are scared to call it completely fake, while internet sleuths keep circling random pixels as hard proof. One top comment heavily glazes the Night Patrol, claiming they only trust the pros. Reading this, Yang lets out a dark, mocking smirk. What a bunch of absolute sheep. They are totally clueless. But whatever he knows, one day the brutal truth will smack them in the face. Pushing himself off the couch, he cracks his neck, muttering that if the internet really thinks his kills are CGI, it's time to hunt down some fresh, undeniable prey. But first, that washed-up boomer needs a harsh reality check. He triggers his descent back into the Shadow Realm, his brain spinning with crazy clickbait titles for his next viral drop. The moment the shadowy abyss swallows him, he clips a sleek action cam right onto his chest rig. Scanning the desolate wasteland, he immediately notices the mutant swarm is looking way thinner than yesterday. Makes sense. The realm must literally respawn its mobs from time to time. Suddenly, a flicker in the darkness catches his eye. What the hell is going on over there? His killer instincts lock onto a massive level 6 beast creeping through the shadows, totally gearing up to gank some weaker mutants. Gripping his heavy club until his knuckles turn white, a wicked grin flashes across his face. He is more than ready to test the limits of a rank 6 nightmare. The hunt is officially on, pivoting smoothly. He stalks straight toward the edge of a jagged rooftop, but right before he jumps, he freezes, letting out a sharp breath. A split-second shiver runs down his spine. Scratch that. He smartly pivots toward the grimy staircase and actively forcing his heart rate down. No impulsive moves. Total stealth mode. A top-tier killer like him doesn't just blindly rush into the meat grinder. He operates on a whole different level, creeping down into the pitch black. The grotesque monster suddenly bursts right out of the decaying walls, unleashing an absolutely ear-shattering roar. He stops dead in his tracks and locks a target mark right onto the mutant. A glowing magic circle spawns dead center in front of the creature, instantly putting the beast on maximum alert. A sly smirk crosses his face. Everything is falling perfectly into his. Once marked, the target is practically hardwired to feel pure mind-numbing terror. He squints, noticing this freakish mutant looks dangerously similar to a mob he trashed before. You know, the one strapped with those lethal razor-sharp blades. Did this thing actually level up and evolve? He brushes the thought off. It doesn't even matter, because he's gone through a massive glow-up himself. With zero hesitation, he triggers the 6th staff form, gripping his blade tightly before driving a brutal slash straight into the monster's gut. The creature's HP bar plummets to 45%, instantly cranking its survival instincts into overdrive. Sliding back, he launches himself sky-high and officially kicks off the hunt. The system interface flashes, confirming the mark and hunt skill is fully active, flooding his veins with a massive temporary surge of raw power and speed. The buff only lasts for 1 single second, and if he flatlines the target before the clock runs out, he bags some insane bonus loot. He hurls his weapon at the beast again, but the mutant weaves through the attack, sending the blade crashing straight into a concrete building. A blinding flash of light swallows the entire zone. He snaps his head back in pure shock, realizing the monster tanked the hit with 0 damage. Stunned but relentless, he wall jumps off the rubble and stays right on its tail. He touches down dead center in front of the creature. It unleashes a blood-curdling screech, violently thrashing its grotesque limbs everywhere, in a desperate attempt to flex and scare him off. He pauses for a split second. Suddenly, the mutant rips its jaws wide open, blasting out a bizarre, warped frequency. Jiang's vision blurs as intense vertigo hits him. Is this freak hitting him with a psychic wave? Out of nowhere, the beast swipes at him, completely bypassing his guard and landing a raw hit. Coughing to catch his breath, he lands nearby and stares at his trembling hands. This boss hits like an absolute truck. He checks his vitals. His HP just dropped below 66%, meaning he lost a massive 34% chunk of health from just one single strike. As the overgrown freak bulldozes toward him once more, he instantly realizes he can't just tank these heavy hits. He needs a big brain strategy right now. The mutant throws a wild haymaker, but Jiang weaves right through its strikes, straight up taunting the beast. The clash escalates to maximum overdrive. Explosive shockwaves from their blows echo through the entire block. The monster relentlessly pushes forward, abruptly screeching to a halt right on top of his position. Grotesque, fleshy tendrils shoot out of its mouth to strike, but he hits dead air. Jiang is completely gone. While the mutant looks around cluelessly, our boy seizes the perfect opening. He blitzes forward from the blind spot, calling the monster an absolute idiot for swallowing the bait. He smirks to himself, realizing that despite the creature's physical evolution, its actual combat IQ is still straight-up garbage. This is his turf, his rules, and there's no way this ugly freak gets the upper hand today. Fueled by adrenaline, he unleashes a savage barrage of combos, battering the creature with relentless blows. The monster screams in pure agony, but Jiang's face is stone cold, 0 mercy. He leaves absolutely no windows for a counterattack, chaining his offense in a lethal loop. Heavy strike after heavy strike, the outer shell of the mutant's face literally begins to shatter and crack open. He vaults into the air to deliver the fatal finisher, but freezes mid-air. He stares dead into the mutant's exposed face, completely rattled. As the night watchman's face stares right back at him, his mind completely short-circuits. He can't believe his eyes. Because the guy standing right in front of him is the exact person who was dragged away by the night watch. Why the hell did he mutate into this thing, Jiang wonders. But before he can process the horror, the monster rips out an ear-shattering roar, snapping him right back to reality. A heavy wave of dread hits him and he violently jumps back, without missing a beat. The creature suddenly turns its back and sprints away into the shadows like its life depends on it. Stop, Yang barks out on pure instinct. He breaks into a full sprint right on his heels, swearing up and down that he just wants to talk. A few blocks later, his legs finally give out. He drops to a heavy jog, gasping for air while his brain goes into overdrive. While he scrambles to process this absolute chaos, that cold mechanical system voice suddenly rings inside his skull. It chimes in, confirming he successfully tracked down his prey. Rooted to the spot, his eyes scan the glowing text of a brand new pop-up alert. The prompt spells it out loud and clear. His hunt was inches away from a massive win, but the target straight up ghosted him at the final second. The end result? A flat-out failure. The system flashes a brutal warning. Stacking up repeated losses like this will not just drain his stats, it will literally slash his lifespan. Deep down, the harsh reality sinks in. Grinding these endless hunts is his only real ticket to leveling up. It is the absolute only way he can seize control and assert his dom. But right here, right now, he is having a hardcore existential crisis. He desperately wonders if his whole existence is just an endless grind or if there is actually a bigger picture. He stands there dead silent. The AI just keeps looping its twisted gospel, hyping up how inevitable death is and demanding he stay ready for the drop. The endless spam pushes his sanity right to the edge. Furious, he violently punches the holographic screen, screaming at it to shut up. His blood boils hotter with every glitchy echo. Finally, his patience completely snaps and he roars out loud. He demands it stop torturing his mind. Suddenly, his racing thoughts crash into the image of those legendary heroes. The kind of legends who willingly threw their lives away just to shield the innocent. Did every single one of them end up this broken and hollowed out at the finish line? He slowly pulls his shaking hand away from his face, locks eyes with his own shattered reflection, and a chilling thought creeps in. Would crossing that final line just twist him into another mindless freak? Right on cue, a massive surge of mystical energy wraps around his entire frame, lighting up the darkness with an insane alien glow. He tightens his fist until his knuckles turn stark white. There is zero chance of backing down now. He has to keep the hunt alive. Cut to the Sea of Clouds hotspot smack in the middle of East Zone 1. He peeks at his screen before tilting his head up toward the brooding sky. He instantly recalls the recent news broadcasts. This exact grid is a total magnet for high-level anomalies, meaning he is exactly where he needs to be. Zero stress. As the words leave his mouth, violent streaks of neon blue and pitch-black aura rip through the air. A literal black hole tears open above a concrete high-rise. He dives straight through the portal, glitching back into reality right on the edge of the rooftop. Scanning the brutal skyline, reality hits him like a truck. The spawn rate of these corrupted freaks is way crazier than his intel suggested. But here is the catch. These cowards are clinging to the shadows, way too spooked to actually push out into the open streets. Crack, a nasty sound jerks his attention sideways. He whips his head around to spot an absolute beast pulsing with toxic purple light. It is perched directly on the adjacent roof, practically begging for a fight. One deep scan is all it takes. He instantly clocks that this thing is an absolute unit radiating heavy hitter energy. But wait. Its right leg is totally mangled, violently leaking dark blood and tanking its health bar right before his eyes. Talk about a golden ticket. He hypes himself up, locking in with total killer instinct and refusing to back down. Peeling out of the pitch-black shadows, he stalks toward his prey. The beast clocks him, instantly retaliating by blasting a barrage of chaotic magic spheres. They hurtle straight at his face. A millisecond before impact, he flashes out of existence, spawning deep inside a choking cloud of debris. It hits him immediately. The aggro radius on these city mutants is light years ahead of the low-level mobs back in his home turf. And this purple nightmare, its radar is totally off the charts. Squinting through the haze, he catches the angry red marks scattered across its armored skin slowly fading away. He quickly weighs the odds as its hyper-awareness somehow burning away those target locks. He aggressively shakes the theory from his head. Big brain moves do not matter right now. He just needs a solid decoy to juggle its attention. The second the beast shifts its dead weight, a flawless opening reveals itself. Deciding it is the perfect window to strike, he zeroes his vision in, forcefully popping his skill and painting a massive digital crosshair right on the freak. A blazing runic circle erupts around his pupil, locking onto the creature with pure, unadulterated menace. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, Yao Yao is casually whipping up dinner, her back totally turned away from the entryway. The front door clicks open. Assuming it is just Jiang, she totally ignores it. "You are super late," she tosses over her shoulder. "Where the hell have you been?" Spinning around, she nearly jumps out of her skin. Her dad and Uncle Lee are standing right there in the living room. Yao Yao's heart skips a beat as the two men loom right behind her. Uncle Lee glares at her, his eyes narrowing as he demands to know if she's whipping up another meal for Yang. Her dad sighs heavily, muttering that it seriously feels like he's been raising his little girl for somebody else's family. Yao Yao just flashes a sweet smile, totally brushing off his dramatic teasing. She quickly shifts gears, asking why they dragged themselves home so early today. Her dad shrugs, explaining they wrapped up everything at the office and just wanted to bounce. Since getting the whole crew together for dinner is practically impossible, they were actually thinking about hitting up a fancy restaurant to treat themselves. Yao Yao shakes her head, insisting there's zero need for that since she's already wrapping up the cooking. Her dad scratches the back of his neck, completely baffled. While Uncle Lee jumps in, suggesting they save the restaurant vibe for another night and just crash here for a cozy home-cooked dinner. He then pivots back to her, casually asking where Yang went off to. She plays it cool, shrugging that she has no clue, maybe he's just out messing around somewhere. Right as her uncle starts ranting about how messed up it is for that guy to be out partying while ditching Yao Yao at home, the dude literally busts through the front door. He hollers that he is absolutely starving to death and practically begging for some food. Kicking off his sneakers in the entryway, he enthusiastically asks what kind of masterpiece Yao Yao whipped up tonight, hyping up the mouthwatering smell filling the room. Riding high on good vibes, he proudly announces he grabbed her absolute favorite candy, but totally casually mentions he got chomped by a massive dog while making the run. Uncle Lee aggressively facepalms, totally done with this kid, and dead silence instantly drops over the room as every single pair of eyes locks onto Yang. He physically freezes, finally processing that the entire family is just standing there. Panicking internally, he shoves the lollipop deep into his pocket and scrambles for an excuse, stammering that some psycho dog chased him all the way back, so his brain is just totally fried right now. Uncle Lee just holds up a hand, sighing that since it's incredibly rare to have the whole squad together, there's absolutely no point in killing the vibe. He waves everyone over, telling them to grab a seat at the dinner table. As Yang slumps into the chair next to him, the older man gives him a firm pat on the shoulder, dropping some wisdom that getting into scraps is fine, since he's still young, wild, and figuring things out. Pouring a drink, Uncle Lou casually drops a bombshell, smirking that there's honestly zero shame in a guy trying to flex in front of the girl. He's crushing on. He smoothly brings up something juicy he spotted earlier today, catching him strolling around with a pretty girl, before suddenly demanding to know her name. Yao Yao snaps to attention instantly, blurting out that her name is Yuju. Her dad nods slowly, admitting the girl is an absolute stunner, radiant, put together, and built with a killer figure. He jokes that if he could just turn back the clock, he would have moved mountains to take a girl like that out on a date. Still chuckling, he hoists his glass high in the air, calling for a lively toast. Yang shifts in his seat, the awkwardness hitting him like a truck. Yao Yao's cheeks burn beet red, but she nervously clinks her glass against the other. Her dad immediately clocks Yang just sitting there like a statue, barking at him to get his cup in the air. Jean flashes Uncle Lou a tight grin before throwing his head back, absolutely downing his drink in one single aggressive shot. Uncle Lou beams with pride, completely cool with letting the kid have his little macho moment. Yang quickly changes the subject, urging the older man to dig into the food since he's been grinding at work all day long. And honestly, he probably doesn't get to vibe with proper home-cooked meals very often. Uncle Lou barks out a laugh, totally agreeing that a feast like this is a massive treat for him. He then praises Yao Yao, pointing out that since she practically runs the kitchen, it's no shocker her culinary skills are insanely top tier. But wait, Uncle Lou suddenly shoots her a wildly suspicious look. He isn't buying this sweetheart act for a single second, fully exposing how he always has to order takeout whenever he's the one stuck at home with her. It looks like she only goes all out to baby Yang Yu, slaving away to whip up this massive fancy spread just for him. Yang shoots his uncle the smuggest, most cocky smirk alive, fully realizing he totally took the win this time. As they tear into the food, the drinks keep flowing with a bunch of loud, chaotic toasts across the table. Later on, Yao Yao and her dad finally grab their stuff to head out. Hanging by the front door, Yang casually tells them to get back safe. Her dad bro hugs Uncle Lou goodbye while the older man shoots a warm smile at Yao Yao as she gives a little wave. The absolute second that front door clicks shut, Yang instantly snatches, and leaning in, he smoothly asks if the old man is feeling thirsty. He drops a flat no and crashes onto the couch. Yang swaggers over, gulping down water, letting the icy drops trail down his jawline. Lee sits dead still, eyes locked on something unseen before shattering the silence. He's got one burning question. Taken aback, our boy asks what's up. His uncle pierces him with a dead serious glare and drops the bomb. Did you awaken your abilities? The sudden interrogation hits him like a freight train, his eyes snapping wide open in pure shock. Trying to play it cool, our guy feigns ignorance, asking what the heck he means by awakening. Uncle Lee isn't buying it. He flexes his 20-year veteran status in the night patrol, stating he can spot and awakens battle scars from a mile away. He demands the raw, unfiltered truth. Defeated Yang slumps back down and confesses it went down half a month ago. Lee immediately presses him. How exactly did he trigger his powers? Flashing a cocky smirk, Yang leans in and asks if he's officially under interrogation. Rolling a cigarette between his fingers, Lee dials down the tension, telling the kid to chill and just spill the details. Rubbing the back of his neck, Yang admits he's totally clueless. The powers just randomly sparked out of nowhere. Lee raises an eyebrow, questioning if this chaotic awakening seriously triggered all on its own. He breaks down the crazy odds, pointing out that spontaneous awakening literally happening maybe once a year across the board. Reaching out his hand, Yang flexes that it's probably just his elite natural talent talking, but Lee aggressively narrows his eyes, shooting him a death glare that makes Yang squirm in his seat. The veteran drops some heavy lore. There's a massive trial this year, and passing the martial arts exam is absolutely mandatory. Nodding along, Yang assures him that he and Yao Yao are already fully locked in on the news. Lee's jaw drops slightly, utterly stunned that Yao Yao is already in the loop too. His expression darkens as he vents about the night patrol getting absolutely crushed by insane pressure lately, with their casualty rates skyrocketing through the roof. Desperate to protect his nephew, he tosses Yang a wild lifeline, ordering him to ditch the deadly martial arts trials and just take the standard college entrance exams instead. Catching that, Yang immediately fires back, demanding to know what he means by a lifeline. He's completely mind-blown that his uncle would casually suggest dodging the draft like it's nothing. Lee smoothly lays out the backdoor deal, explaining he can fast-track Yang into a handful of top-tier colleges. He pitches that if the kid is vibing with comics, he can easily slide him into an art department or whatever major fits his aesthetic. Yang's brain short-circuits. He never realized his grumpy old uncle had this kind of insane pull. Leaning in, he hesitantly asks if he can just score the diploma without actually going to classes. Lee violently slaps the back of Yang's head, screaming at the sheer audacity of this kid. He ruthlessly declares Yang is shipping off to the Winter Academy for its pristine environment. He promises that once the kid graduates, he'll hook him up with a solid 9-to-5, setting him and Yao Yao up for a peaceful vanilla life. Frustrated, Yang buries his face in his hands, agonizing over why his uncle is pulling this dictator move. He violently pushes back, screaming that he still wants to grind and become an awakened powerhouse. That defiant spark just ignites Lee's fury even more. He roars that Yang has to follow his orders, but then the veteran takes a breath, looming over the kid. Sitting in dead silence, Yang stubbornly shuts out his uncle's words. He threatens that if Lee actually tries to force this corrupt shortcut, he will straight up snitch to the Night Patrol headquarters. Lee's face contorts in pure confusion, his brain buffering at the utter betrayal of that threat. They lock eyes in a suffocating, deadly silence, before Lee finally exhales a heavy sigh, his tone turning dangerously cold as he warns Yang this isn't a joke. He grimly warns that the brutal world of the Awakened is infinitely more horrific than some comic book fantasy. He orders the kid to stay in his lane and focus on school, while he handles the bloody realities. But Yang isn't backing down 1 inch. He stares his uncle down, insisting that he's dead serious about fighting. He drops hard facts. Danger is lurking around every corner, and his uncle absolutely can't play their meat shield forever. Another suffocating silence swallows the room. Defeated Lee breaks eye contact, releasing a massive, soul-crushing exhale. He bleakly predicts that Yang is going to violently regret this choice once he tastes real combat. Still, he leaves a door open before his junior year kicks off. If this terrifying reality ever makes him want to bail, he can always give the word. Unfazed, Yang coldly fires back, telling his uncle to stop trying to force his shady, corrupt loopholes in the future. Taking that in, Lee pivots and heads straight for the exit. Just as his hand hits the knob, Yang's voice cuts through the tension. "Hold up." Lee glances back over his shoulder. "What now?" Yang's mind flashes back to those leaked files Yao Yao dropped in their chat. The intel claimed Awakened users could burn through every last drop of their aura before dying just to stop themselves from mutating into freaks. He locks eyes with Lee. Can someone still turn into a monster, even if their tank is completely empty? Dead silence fills the room. Finally, Lee gives a heavy nod. Yeah, it happens. Especially if they're holding some wild quirks or if an outside force messes with their body. Why are you digging into this? Lee narrows his eyes. Yang rubs the back of his neck, playing it off. Just random, intrusive thoughts, man. Lacing up his sneakers by the door, Lee drops a harsh truth bomb. If you walk the martial arts path, you're gonna have to go toe-to-toe with those nightmares eventually. Go crash. Get some sleep and stop looking for a scrap. Yang gives a quick nod, promising to chill out. Right before stepping out, Lee drops one last update. The martial arts trials are dropping way ahead of schedule this year. They kick off right after the Lunar New Year. Wait, seriously, that fast? Yang is totally caught off guard. Better start grinding, Lee warns, shutting the door behind him and disappearing into the hallway. Cut to the white-haired girl. Her phone screen lights up with a fresh push notification. Her favorite streamer just dropped a new upload. Hype takes over as she snatches up her phone ready to binge. But the comments section is an absolute dumpster fire. Trolls are already spamming that the footage is fake. Keyboard warriors claim the real Night Patrol uses actual blades and heavy artillery to slaughter mutants, while this creator is just slapping on CGI effects for clout. Another hater is crying in the replies because you started doing brand deals. The video already has 1,847 comments, sitting pretty at 2.1 million likes. Scowling at the screen, she mutters about how toxic the fandom has gotten lately. The hate is out of control. She knows they're just salty about Yu's insane powers. Fuming over the absolute disrespect, she aggressively types out a comeback, flaming them for being clueless and calling out their pure jealousy. But mid-sentence, her thumbs freeze. She stares at the glowing screen, a knot forming in her stomach. Please don't be a fraud, she mentally prays. Lord, let this not be one of those lame apology videos. She taps play. Bold text violently flashes across the dark screen. Hunt or be hunted. Okay, that intro goes unfathomably hard. The camera locks into a first-person perspective. Dangling right over the ledge of a skyscraper, her jaw drops. The VR quality is so mind-bendingly crisp, it literally feels like she's glitching into the Matrix with him. A blinding flash erupts, and without warning, he nosedives off the roof. Her brain short-circuits. She actually shrieks out loud, squeezing her eyes shut. Water pools in her lashes before she peeks back at the screen. Totally disoriented. Palms sweating, she clutches her phone, staring at the chaotic footage in pure disbelief. He shifts his angle mid-air and she's just absolutely starstruck. Are these actually god-tier superhuman stats? Bam! He tanks a massive shockwave straight to the gut, his arms spread wide as an intense radiant energy lights up the entire skyline. Out of nowhere, a grotesque abomination warps right into his face. Seeing this beast up close in Ultra HD, she realizes the sheer terrifying detail of the creature. This is no CGI trick. Yu whips out his energy threads, violently launching himself backward to dodge the snapping jaws. She's glued to the display, hype bubbling over. This is peak cinema. Yu spins, delivering a skull-crushing roundhouse kick straight to the monster's jaw, followed by an absolute flurry of devastating punches. She's white-knuckling her phone now, adrenaline pumping through her veins. Is she actually witnessing a legit death match between an awakened and an alien invader? The blood, the speed, the impact, it's raw. And she's dead certain nobody could edit something this insane. Our guy launches off the concrete lip, rocketing straight at the abomination. Time slows down as their eyes lock mid-air. The realization hits him, this thing is an authentic, bloodthirsty brawler from the northern capital. Kaboom! A deafening shockwave obliterates the creature into a million pieces. Foul neon green blood drips heavily from Yu's clenched fists. He stands over the crushed beast and triggers his Shadow Devourer skill. The girl hangs back in dead silence, watching his every move. He stares down, wondering if he actually just absorbed another living soul. And if that web ability he just used came from draining that spider he wrecked earlier. Could he leech even more broken skills from this? Back at his place, Yang tosses his trashed clothes into the hamper and squares up with the bathroom mirror. Staring at the massive gash across his face, he winces. Damn, that actually hurts. He tightly wraps thick bandages around his ribs, finally admitting to himself that the alien beasts in this sector hit like a freight train. If those things hadn't already been bleeding out, he probably would be a dead man right now. Suddenly, bzzz. His phone buzzes with a notification. He flips it over and rolls his eyes. It's another video from that clout-chasing blogger, Didao, the same troll who tried to cancel him last time. The guy hits his intro, hyping up his chat and dropping the bomb that today's upload is going to drag Yang once again. He rants about how this recent fight looked super realistic, but claims he still spotted the fake CGI edits. Playing the clip frame by frame, he points his finger at the badly wounded monster, screaming that a beast in that condition is basically running on 1 HP, meaning literally any low-tier scrub with a pulse could have finished the job. He calls Yang out, asking why a supposed god-tier fighter would waste time farming such easy mobs. Yang just stares at the screen with dead eyes, then swipes up and locks his phone. This dude is getting seriously obnoxious. Pure cringe. Slumping back into the couch cushions, Yang analyzes his current stats, and the reality hits hard. He is still nowhere near strong enough to solo a first-grade alien species. His eyes snap wide open. The vibe shifts completely. He needs to grind. He needs to get stronger. so insanely overpowered that no one will ever dare disrespect his name again. He violently grips his fist ready to tear through whatever comes next. The system flashes his current build, confirming his shadow points are maxed out, sitting perfectly at 32 out of 32 points. His loadout also shows fresh skills, Shadow Weave ripped straight from that spider and Shadow Claw looted from the beast. He just slaughtered. But then, he reads the system's overall rating. Looks tough, actually a glass cannon. That hits a nerve. Furious, he snaps back, claiming the system's skills are just complete trash. He flexes, swearing he is 100 times stronger than his girlfriend now, and could probably body 50 of her uncles at the exact same time. But deep down, he knows he is just coping. It is still not enough. With all the new broken abilities he secured from those bloodbaths, Yang originally assumed that shadow points functioned like basic XP. But plot twist, they actually act like an energy bar. Every single skill drains his shadow points, scaling with their level. On top of that, activating his shadow form burns through his reserves too, heavily depending on his surroundings. If he pops that form inside the shadow realm, zero cost, infinite stamina. But popping it in the real world at night, it chips away a fraction of his points. And if he dares to use it in broad daylight, it will completely nuke his shadow point gauge. Channeling his shadow points to heal up his broken body, his mind shifts to the upcoming martial arts exam. He figures the vast majority of the tryhards entering these trials will only pack the power level of 1 to 3 shadow points, meaning even if he stops grinding right now, he can still completely sweep the floor with them. He knows his constant flexing online is putting a massive target on his back, but staying humble, yeah, not his vibe. Instead, he is going to walk into that exam and absolutely style on everybody. He bursts out laughing like a complete maniac. My uncle's got my back, who's gonna stop me? The dude living downstairs awkwardly glances up, totally convinced Yang has lost his damn mind. Cut to the next day, Yang is slumped on a mall bench looking like he's about to pass out. His girlfriend promised it would be a quick 1-hour trip, but she's been dragging him through stores since dawn. Exhausted, he crashes against his buddy's shoulder, groaning that he's literally going to die if he keeps wasting his life away like this. His friend shoves him off. Bro, shut up, don't curse us like that right at the start of the new year. Brushing off the bad vibes, Yang stares him dead in the eye, making it crystal clear he is not playing around. If he does not actually hunt, he is literally going to die. That dark reality check instantly rattles his buddy, who nervously demands to know what the heck he means. Yang's gaze suddenly darts to his girl, and he quickly brushes it off as nothing. Shaking off the heavy mood, the squad decides to grab some grub. Cocky as ever, Yang hypes up a spot he swears will hit the spot for everyone. Cut to a hot minute later. They are staring at a menu totally stacked with garlic oysters, steamed oysters, and crispy fried onions. The girls give him major side-eye while Yao Yao sarcastically asks if this protein-heavy joint is seriously the place that supposedly caters to everyone's tastes. The green-haired girl nods in agreement, pointing out this joint definitely gives off major frat bro energy. Scanning the menu, Jiang flags down the waiter, dropping the excuse that he is recovering from a recent injury and badly needs to recharge his drained stamina. He locks in an order of toast, soy sauce, fried rice, and egg drop soup. The waiter jots it down, hyping up his safe choices. Smirking like a total menace, Yao Yao playfully roasts his boring order, expecting him to pick something way more edgy. Admitting the spread is pretty basic, Yang goes all out, demanding their biggest, freshest oysters on the spot. Jaw-dropping, the waiter shoots him a wild look of disbelief. Fast forward a bit, the server drops off their massive spread and tells the squad to dig in. Yang tries to slide some food to his girl, telling her there is zero reason to starve, but she hits him with a hard pass. Right then, his phone lights up with a massive alert. The martial arts exam just got totally rescheduled. The timeline just got violently accelerated, with the trials officially kicking off on February 17th. Everything is set to wrap up by the 20th, leading straight into the hardcore specialized training camp, which launches right after on February 25th. Shocked, his friend freaks out, questioning if this is actually legit, considering this grueling exam is basically mandatory. The other girl groans, realizing they will have to grind through the brutal qualifiers right after the holiday break, making the whole grind incredibly stressful and annoying. Totally unbothered, Yang gives his bro a chill pat on the shoulder, savagely reminding him that his grades are way too trash to even stress over it. Dripping with sarcasm, his buddy thanks him for the unhinged reality check. Then the vibe shifts as he spills a dark childhood memory, flashing back to when he was hunted by a terrifying alien specter, when he was barely 7 years old. By the time the night patrol finally smashed the beast, the sheer trauma had already shattered his mental state, leaving him scarred and sick. Flashing a cocky grin, Yang arrogantly flexes that he could have easily obliterated that alien scum if he had been there. Instantly, his bro calls cap on his massive lie. Looking totally unimpressed, Yao Yao checks his ego, asking if he seriously thinks everyone else is as brain dead as him. She sharply points out that normal folks do not pack his insane main character energy. Most people instantly hit the panic button and choose to run. Honestly, she argues that running is the smart play, because the sheer horror those alien freaks inflict leaves permanent psychological scars on their souls. A heavy dead silence instantly chokes the entire table. Their massive meal sits totally untouched while Jiang and Yao Yao exchange awkward glances. Trying to save the vibe, Jiang throws his hands up and tells the crew to drop the doom and gloom, hyping everyone up for a toast. But before their glasses can even clink, an ear-piercing blast shatters the air, making every single customer violently jump out of their seats in pure heart-stopping terror. Whipping her head toward the agonizing noise, Yao Yao's blood runs cold. It is a biohazard siren. That screaming alarm means one brutal thing: the alien swarm has officially breached the entire shopping mall. Wild panic erupts like wildfire, freezing half the crowd in absolute shock. A random guy screams at the top of his lungs for everyone to evacuate, and pure, unfiltered chaos detonates as the stampeding mob violently crushes toward the exits. Desperate voices scream at the frontrunners to haul fast, while others completely break down, suffocated by the overwhelming horror. Screams echo through the air, the threat is practically breathing down their necks. Surrounded by pure chaos, Jiang Jiao Jiao and her crew just freeze, staring wide-eyed. He watches in dread as the stampede violently shoves toward the exits. Beside him, the green-haired girl frantically scrolls her phone for breaking news, desperately asking what their next move should be. Xiao Xiao takes a quick, sharp breath to think, and firmly tells the squad to keep their cool and push toward the doors without losing their heads. But before they can even take a step, Yang barks at them to get out of the way. Before anyone can process what's happening, he straight up obliterates the wall with a single punch, blasting a massive crater right through the concrete. The insane flex leaves everyone completely floored. Yao Yao is practically glued to the spot, her jaw hitting the floor in total disbelief. Yang snaps his fingers at her, demanding to know why she is still zoning out. They need to sprint right freaking now. The crew instantly bolts toward the makeshift escape route. He just tore open. Creeping forward, his eyes dart around, scanning the perimeter. Suddenly, a random guy sprinting the wrong way shrieks a warning, screaming that something else is lurking back there before completely vanishing into the stampede. A toxic red glare pulses through the shadows, sending an icy chill down their spines. Yang instantly clicks that the beast is right on top of them, but with this massive crowd going full shadow mode would instantly blow his cover. Without missing a beat, he snatches Xiao Xiao's wrist and literally hauls her along with him. Raw panic infects the mob. Terrified gasps echo everywhere as people frantically choke back the dust, fighting for air. Someone screams at them to run for their lives, but Yao Yao hesitates, her mind spinning. How on earth did this alien freak breach the mall in the first place? Weren't the defense forces supposed to be locked down right outside? Yang violently shakes his head. No time to overthink this, they just need to dip now. He grunts that they are crazy lucky that most of the crowd actually managed to bail out. Otherwise, this whole mall would have literally turned into an absolute bloodbath. Throwing his arm out, he pinpoints the final exit. Just as the squad hits the doorway, he dead stops, his face washing with absolute horror. He screams for everyone to brace themselves and hold on to him tight, because the entire building is about to cave in. Before a single soul can even flinch, the ceiling viciously implodes, burying their terrified screams under deafening destruction. They desperately grip each other, but it is totally useless as the floor vanishes beneath them, plunging them all into the abyss. Coughing through the rubble, Yang violently shoves himself up, wincing hard from the brutal impact. Frantically scanning the wreckage, he does a quick head count. Yao Yao, rubbing her bruised jaw, spits out that they are mostly okay, just banged up with some nasty scrapes. Then a raw, agonizing shriek cuts through the dust. It is their buddy absolutely losing his mind because he thinks he just snapped his leg in half. Through the haze, they spot him, pinned down a massive chunk of concrete, brutally crushing his shin. Yang dashes over, violently ripping a jagged iron rebar straight out of the debris. He locks eyes with his terrified bro, swearing he is going to get him out. Gritting his teeth, he leverages the bar and violently heaves the slab upward, finally yanking the trapped leg free. The guy groans in agony, but the crushing weight is gone. Yao Yao immediately shoves some meds into his hand, ordering him to swallow them, so they can desperately numb the worst of the pain. Shaking like a leaf, he dry swallows the pills and wildly scans the shadows. Cold sweat drips down his face as he chokes out a question. Where the heck are they? The heavy, suffocating darkness is seriously creeping him out. Yao Yao blinks in total shock, admitting she has never seen anything this messed up before. Dropping to one knee, Yang slams his palm flat against the cold concrete. He can feel the texture of the mall's tile piecing together that they must have crashed straight into the basement level. But in a split second his face drops completely rigid. Something is sickeningly wrong. As a sinister inky aura spirals around his hand, a chilling realization hits him. He knows this exact vibe. His breath hitches in his throat as a terrifying thought crosses his mind. Did they all just get literally sucked into the shadow dimension? All around them, the grim sounds of pure despair echo through the dark. Survivors are bawling, some bleeding out, others just mentally paralyzed by fear. A tiny girl buries her face into her dad's chest, sobbing hysterically. He softly rubs her back desperately, promising her that the night patrol help is supposed to be on the way. But Yang's stomach drops as he scans the absolute chaos. He knows they are in deep trouble with way too many innocent people, trapped inside this suffocating shadow dimension. Navigating this pitch-black zone is practically impossible, meaning the night patrol is going to take way longer to back them up. If they stay stuck in this void for too long, honestly, they won't even need the alien freaks to kill them. The toxic corruption of this place will literally melt their lungs. He knows he has to get everyone out of this hellhole and fast. His brain goes into overdrive. He snaps his attention to Yao Yao, urgently asking if she is still wearing that watch her dad gave her. Her eyes go wide as she glances down at her wrist, completely forgetting she even had it on. A massive wave of relief washes over the squad, and huge grins break out across their faces. She explains that smashing just one button on this thing will beam a direct SOS to the night patrol. The redhead totally hypes her up, screaming how Yao Yao's quick thinking just saved their lives. But while the girls celebrate, Yang remains dead serious. He seriously doubts a simple signal will actually speed up the rescue squad. Still, the watch's barrier should shield them from the toxic fumes for a minute. But those alien monsters could ambush them at literally any second, so he refuses to let his guard down. Right as he concentrates to trigger his shadow powers, the concrete beneath them violently ruptures. Pure panic grips the crew all over again as nightmare fuel creatures slither out of the pitch-black shadows. Yang locks his cold gaze on the beasts, realizing the main event has finally kicked off. The earthquakes get crazier, and his friends absolutely lose their minds screaming. But our boy Yang, he does not even flinch, and stares dead into the monster's eyes, flashing a cocky smirk. Once the thick dust finally clears, Yao Yao starts choking on the debris. She screams out for her squad, terrified of being alone. Her green-haired bestie scrambles through the rubble, grabbing her shoulders tight and swearing that she has got her back. Cutting through the swirling smog, the other girl hollers at them, desperately asking where they went. Yao Yao is frantically scanning the chaos for Yang, screaming his name until her lungs burn. Suddenly, her friend gasps in pure horror and points a shaking finger at a massive bottomless crater in the ground. Yao Yao's heart shatters as she stammers, asking if he actually fell straight down into the abyss. Absolute devastation is everywhere, with crushed concrete scattered for miles. Meanwhile, a white-haired girl, barely clinging to life, claws her way out from underneath a mountain of rubble. Slumped in the dirt, she looks around, completely dazed, struggling to piece together reality. She touches her bleeding forehead, and boom, the brutal memories hit her like a freight train. She was just having a chill shopping trip with Xiaoya when those deafening sirens started blaring, sending the whole crowd into an absolute frenzy. With people stampeding in every possible direction, she frantically screams out for her bestie, but then her trembling hand brushes up against something cold. She glances down and the air is violently sucked from her lungs. Xiaoya's brutally mangled body is just lying right there in the dirt. Pure icy dread shoots down her spine as thick tears blur her vision. She chokes on her own sobs, her brain totally short-circuiting, refusing to accept this traumatizing nightmare. And then the massive silhouette of a monster looms right behind her back. A razor-sharp claw lunges straight for her neck. She whips around, and in that split second the grim reality sinks in. This is it. She is going to die. She never in a million years pictured her life ending like some tragic headline. She always thought these insane life-or-death situations only went down in Hollywood blockbusters. She sarcastically thinks that if she were the main character, some insanely overpowered hero would swoop in to rescue her. Or at the very least, a random bystander would try to step in. But let's be real, that is 0% happening. Because this is the real world and nobody is coming to save her. Real life does not have superheroes. Bracing for the brutal impact, she squeezes her eyes shut. Hot blood violently splatters across the crushed concrete. But when she slowly peels her eyes open, she sees a towering shadow standing directly between her and death. Panting heavily from the intense rush, she furiously wipes her tears and tilts her head up. She is totally stunned. It is freaking Yang, the exact same legendary guy from all those viral YouTube clips. He is literally gripping the monster's massive claw barehanded, completely blocking the attack like it is absolutely nothing. Look at our boy effortlessly securing the ultimate riz. Pure hope sparks in her eyes as she wonders if he actually is a real-life superhero. Without missing a single beat, he violently yeets the beast straight into the shadow void. Taking a closer look at his face, she instantly recognizes him. It really is him. A glowing system prompt pops up, confirming that Shadowclaw, when stacked with his killer assassin perks, massively buffs his strike into a guaranteed critical hit. Jack triggers the buff and launches himself at the monster like a total missile. With one earth-shattering uppercut, he sends that freak flying across the skyline. But the beast quickly steadies itself, shredding the dirt with its claws to kill its momentum. It heaves ragged breaths, eyes locked dead on him. Meanwhile, the girl is absolutely losing her mind, clapping like a total fangirl. This whole setup feels totally unreal, like a fever dream. She stammers out his name, the legendary assassin Jiang Yu. He catches her hyped-up vibe, but before he can even blink, she rushes him, snapping pics and grabbing his hand with zero chill. She completely goes off about how much of a stan she is, swearing she's binge-watched all his videos and thinks he's insanely badass. But he just calls her kid, pointing out that her dress and tights are totally shredded. Realizing he's right, she freezes awkwardly, stepping back as the embarrassment hits. She nervously asks if her messy look is a turnoff. He shuts that down real quick, telling her it's no big deal. But she playfully pushes back, teasing that if he's not feeling it, she could always go home and slip into something a little nicer. Our boy totally takes the bait, asking if she means a silk dress. She tells him to stop obsessing over the silk, promising to hook him up with some spicy chicken too. Meanwhile, the beast, watching this whole flirt fest, loses its patience, letting out a gut-wrenching growl. Hearing that Jiang drops the playful act, his face goes dead cold. He tells her they can brainstorm outfit details later, flipping the switch like a pro. He launches forward, declaring open season on the beast. The creature snaps its head around, totally lost, struggling to track his insane speed. Then, out of nowhere, a crushing blow connects right with the back of its skull. Jiang touches down nearby, gripping the weighted rope he just used to smash it. The freakish monster dives right at him, but Jiang smoothly sidesteps, sticking a perfect landing right behind it. The creature unleashes a furious roar. Sizing up the fight, Jiang realizes his power and accuracy are still lagging behind. If he were at his peak, that alien would be dead in one hit. Without a second thought, he charges back in, ready to finish the job. Just as he preps his counterattack, he's forced to pump the brakes. Two more monsters ambush him out of nowhere. He barely manages to deflect their strike and leaps back to create distance. The freaks actually chuckle, mocking his outnumbered status. Staring down the trio, he realizes this brawl is about to get messy. The white-haired girl, still filming the whole thing, cheerfully wishes him luck and promises that if he pulls this off, she will show him something seriously mind-blowing. Hearing that, Jiang's face instantly turns bright red with hype, but he shakes it off, snapping right back into the zone. Charging forward with pure drive, telling himself he is just doing this for her sake, he violently launches himself into the air, dodging a savage swipe from the first beast. But while he's completely airborne, the second monster goes in for the kill. Stuck floating in mid-air, he knows there's zero chance he can dodge it. Acting purely on instinct, he whips his claw around, unleashing a glowing blue cord that wraps tight around the creature's limb. Riding that momentum, he slices right through it with a lethal slash. The monster hits the dirt, completely lifeless. Whipping around to face the remaining monster, Jiang flashes a cocky smirk. He's dead certain these things can't take him down. But right before he moves, another beast creeps up his blind spot, slashing his shoulder wide open. Blood sprays from the wound as he frantically leaps backward, clutching his arm. Utterly shocked, he can't wrap his head around the fact that these freaks are actually smart enough to coordinate their attacks. While two of them were busy playing bait to lock him down, the third one was setting up the real kill shot. He knows for a fact he's toast if this tag team rhythm keeps up. He desperately needs to pick them off one by one. Forming a plan, he blasts a shot at one of the beasts, but it effortlessly tilts its head to dodge. He scowls, wondering if the monster actually read his moves. Before he can even process it, all three beasts swarm him, at the exact same time boxing him in from every single angle. He desperately weaves through their strikes, but they completely block his escape into the shadows. His health gauge plummets to 45% as the brutal beatdown continues. Realizing he can't survive this passive game, he pushes forward aggressively, parrying their furious attacks. He knows he has to bait them away, but the exact second he shifts his weight, one of the freaks slams into his back, tanking his HP down to 35%. Locking in, he immediately pops his mark ability. It is a nasty little skill that absolutely forces the target into pure panic mode for a few seconds. Thanks to his last viral video boosting his notorious rep, the debuff duration got cranked up to a solid 3 seconds. The countdown starts ticking and the beasts completely freeze up in terror. Yang does not waste a single heartbeat, immediately blitzing the nearest one. He slides right behind the creature and ruthlessly executes it. The 3-second timer finally runs out. But the massacre is already a wrap. Standing over the twitching corpse, a system ping flashes in his vision hunt, totally successful. The loot drops. His shadow form literally levels up massively, cutting down the energy cost for throwing out skills in the shadow realm. On top of that, his energy regen and absorption stats get an insane buff. The deep gash on his back instantly stitches itself together as he stares down at his brand new razor-sharp claws. He whips around, locking eyes with the remaining monsters. Alright, who is next? The last two freaks just stare at him, trembling like leaves. His HP ticks back up to 55%. While this pitch-black, suffocating aura leaks from his body, he smirks, taunting them. What is wrong? Too scared to step up. You guys were so hyped to kill me just a second ago. If you are not gonna make a move, I will. But the moment he dashes forward, blinding pillars of light suddenly tear through the area. He completely freezes, totally thrown off. Where the hell is this light coming from inside the shadow dimension? Crackles of blue sparks dance around him, and some invisible heavy gravity violently drags him toward the glow. The beasts instantly catch on, letting out these deafening guttural roars. Right on cue, the night patrol drops in, spearheaded by Commander Song Qingyang himself. Gripped in his hand is the Eternal Flame, a relic built to obliterate shadows and light up the darkness like a literal sun. Extending his palm, the commander blasts out a beam of glowing green energy, aiming dead straight at Yang Jiang. Sweating bullets, Yang stammers out, "Wait, what are you doing?" He screams at them, desperately trying to prove he is one of the good guys. One of the monsters lunges straight for Song Qingyang, but without even sparing it a glance, the commander flicks the green blast upward, instantly vaporizing the beast. Yang just stands there, jaw completely on the floor, one-shotting a monster like it was absolutely nothing. Is this the raw power of the night patrol? He knows for a fact that if that blast had actually connected with his body just now, he would be nothing but ash. Shaking it off, he struts over to one of the squad members with a cocky grin, totally flexing. You guys took your sweet time. The fight is basically wrapped up. A guy rocking dark shades actually apologizes for the delay before asking for his identity. Yang totally brushes him off. Do not sweat the details. He points a finger at a white-haired girl nearby. You really need to deal with her. She is pretty banged up. The girl snaps her head toward him, totally baffled. Wait, weren't you supposed to walk me home? He pivots, tossing her a playful two-finger salute. Relax, I was just messing with you. But as a dedicated defender of the night, duty always comes first. Right before melting back into the pitch-black shadows, he throws over his shoulder, I am leaving her in your capable hands. She screams out his streamer handle, begging him to wait, but the dude is already gone like a ghost. Commander Qingyang glances at his intel guy. Do we have anyone by that handle in our database? The subordinate nods, explaining that Yu is actually pretty famous on a specific streaming app. He is a shadow user, but his stats are honestly trash. Probably hard stuck at level 1, but Qingyang is not buying that garbage for a single second. He lifts the blazing artifact in his hand. I am holding the Eternal Flame. Do you honestly think any low-level shadow could survive this close? Plus, he just vanished right in front of our faces. There is zero chance a level 1 scrub pulls off a stunt like that. Glancing over at the quietly sobbing girl, he makes the call to evacuate her back to base for now. Once she is secure, they are going to start a massive, deep-dive investigation into this Yu guy. Meanwhile, Xiao Xiao is frantically scrambling through the war zones. She sweeps her glowing smartwatch over the wreckage, her voice trembling as she prays to God he is not dead. Out of nowhere, his voice completely shatters the dead silence, calling out to her from behind. She whips around her heart, jumping into her throat, only to find him completely buried alive under a mass. He groans out a pathetic plea for help, totally gasping for air as a crushing weight pins down his chest. She instantly scrambles over, frantically clawing at the massive chunks of rubble. Just hang in there, she pleads, desperately trying to keep him grounded. But the second she reaches into the debris, his trembling fingers snatch her wrist. He chokes out that his body is completely giving out. He begs her to drop the careful rescue act and just violently yank him out right then and there. Are you out of your mind? She snaps. How the heck is she supposed to drag him out safely when those massive boulders are literally crushing him alive? But plot twist, with barely a flex of his muscles, Yang effortlessly slides right out from under the heavy wreckage like it was absolutely nothing. She just stares at him in dead silence. Yeah, the math is definitely not mathing here. Something is seriously off. Pointing straight at the jagged debris, she dramatically raises a skeptical eyebrow. Wasn't that exact giant rock supposedly pinning him down just a second ago? Yang awkwardly chuckles, playing it off with a weak grin. He claims he probably could have escaped solo, but shock literally paralyzed his entire body. Her gaze sharpens suspiciously as she thoroughly scans his back. Hold up. There is a nasty, vicious gash completely slicing through his flesh. Did the rocks do that too? She interrogates. He aggressively dodges eye contact, muttering that he honestly has absolutely zero clue. But mentally, he knows damn well those rocks did not leave a single scratch. Desperate to change the subject, he quickly demands to know where the flashing a bright, incredibly relieved smile, she drops the good news. The official night patrol squad completely swooped in for an epic rescue mission. Because of that, Feng Xiaoxiao and Liu Yuqiang already got safely escorted totally out of the danger zone. Wait. Pause. He stares at her in pure, unfiltered disbelief. Did she literally stay behind in this total hellhole? Strictly to dig him out. Classic tsundere alert. Yao Yao instantly gets super flustered, her cheeks burning bright red as she violently whips around. She stubbornly huffs aggressively, swearing that she only stayed because if he totally kicked the bucket she would absolutely never be able to look her uncle in the eye again. That hits him right in the freaking feels. He is rendered totally speechless, heavy tears literally pooling in his eyes. Driven by pure raw emotion, he fiercely yanks her into a tight, desperate embrace. Yao Yao's brain completely short-circuits from the shock. She instantly freaks out, fiercely pummeling his shoulders and screaming at him to back the heck off. But Yang Yu literally refuses to budge. He frantically tells her he just spotted a swarm of freaks swinging massive blades and hacking everything to pieces. Playing the terrified victim, he clings to her, begging for a hug to feel safe. But she is totally annoyed and snaps at him to back off. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension, instantly grabbing their attention. A green-haired girl steps out of the shadows gripping a lantern. She asks if they are all right, mentioning she heard a blood-curdling scream. Yao Yao instantly shoves Yang away, smoothing her clothes and insisting everything is perfectly fine. He eagerly nods along, backing up her story. Sighing in relief, the girl waves them over, telling them to follow her lead. She promises to guide them out of this nightmare. But right as they turn to leave, Yang unleashes a massive scream. Freaking out, Yao Yao demands to know what is wrong. Sniffling, he aggressively wipes his eyes and brushes it off as nothing. The reality just hit him. He completely forgot to soak up the shadow points from those monsters he just wrecked. Fast forward to the next morning. Deep inside the night patrol headquarters, Yang is stuck in the hot seat. He is chilling nervously in a bleak interrogation room, facing off against Li Huan, a hardcore officer for the night patrol. He states for the record that he is Yang and he is 18 years old. With the recording light blinking red, she asks if he just started school this year. He gives a quick nod. She points out that last night's chaos clearly rattled him. Following strict protocol, anyone caught up in that mess has to undergo psychological rehab and take meds at their facility. And a heads up, the side effects drag out for a solid month. Staring him down, she drops the real bomb if he takes the military exam while on these meds. His aptitude scores will completely tank. Hearing that, Yang instantly panics and asks if he can just ditch the therapy since he feels totally fine. She shoots that idea down, warning him that the shadow contamination creeps in silently. Once the symptoms actually hit, it is way too late to fix. He argues that the military exam is less than 10 days away and he is terrified this will completely ruin his chances. Leaning back, she tells him to chill and stop stressing, explaining that they have handled crazy situations like this before. The night patrol already has solid loopholes in place for victims. If needed, candidates can basically file for special VIP exemptions ahead of time. Hooked on her every word, Yang listens as she slides a thick document across the table, tapping the spot where it needs a signature. From his parents or legal guardian. She breaks it down, saying they run preliminary tests during actual patrols and lock the results into the mainframe. The whole thing plays out exactly like a formal exam, using the exact same gear to keep things completely fair. Plus, the squad provides heavy backup just in case things go sideways. Playing it cool, Yang drops the info that his legal guardian is his uncle who actually works right here in the night patrol. Her eyes light up. She notes that makes things a million times easier and asks for his uncle's name. Yang hesitates for a split second before spilling that his uncle works out of East Zone 1 just doing basic desk duty. He finally names him Li Shun Guang. The second that name drops, Li Huan practically leaps out of her chair, totally hyped. She gasps, asking if he means the Li from the legendary Mu family. She rapidly asks if his name uses the characters for 3 points and radiance. When Yang gives a super confused nod, she immediately grills him, demanding to know if he is absolutely positive his uncle is just some random desk jockey. Totally baffled, Yang asks if he got it wrong. His mind races, instantly assuming his uncle got fired and this whole interrogation is a setup. Panicking, he swears he hasn't reported him or anything. But Li Huan just cracks up, laughing, swearing everything is totally fine. But she leaves it at that, keeping the mystery alive. Gathering up the files, she offers to escort him straight to his uncle, motioning for him to tag along. Soon they step into a massive 3-story compound boasting a crazy vaulted glass dome. Striding past endless rows of sleek military armor, high-tech weaponry, and glowing holographic displays, she barks a reminder to stay glued to her side. Eyes wide drinking in the insane tech, Yang quickly nods and falls in line. He cannot help but wonder if this insanely futuristic setup is their main base of operations. As they march down the hall, 2 elite soldiers cross their path. One of them, a dude rocking spiky green hair, stops and asks if Yang is the newest recruit for the night patrol. The second guard nods, confirming they've run background check after background check, but the kid's a total ghost in the system. Yang catches their hushed whispers, his eyes snapping wide open in sheer panic. Joan catches his subtle flinch and instantly asks if he's all right. He hesitates for a split second before brushing it off, playing the innocent card by saying he's just overwhelmed by the massive facility and feeling totally out of place. But deep down, dread starts creeping in. The night patrol is officially digging into his secret identity. As they finally reach the heavy door, Joan tells him to chill out and catch his breath while she tracks down Li Shunguang. Stepping inside, Yang scans the room, completely taken aback. Yao Yao and Feng Xiao Xiao are already hanging out in there. It looks like Yao Yao is still deep in conversation with that mysterious white-haired girl. She suddenly jumps up from her seat, gasping as she asks if the girl actually crossed paths with the infamous killer. The white-haired girl smirks, proudly bragging that she did, even claiming the badass rogue totally saved her life. Watching her flex, Yang narrows his eyes, wondering what the heck she's doing here too. Meanwhile, Yao Yao whips her head around, spots him, and immediately taps the empty chair beside her, gesturing for him to sit. The second he drops down, she locks her intense gaze right back onto the white-haired girl, dying to know exactly what went down next. The girl paints a wild picture describing how he soloed 10 nightmarish monsters at once. He was dead serious, totally unbothered. And in a flash, the moment that epic shadow blade materialized, he sliced off every single freakish head in one brutal sweep. She keeps hyping up the story, claiming that just as he was battling the twisted freaks and looking like he was completely out of gas, the night patrol squad finally crashed the party. But instead of sticking around, he straight up vanished into the shadows, leaving behind nothing but the legendary aftermath of his massacre. Yang just listens to this wild fanfic, cringing inside because she's massively exaggerating. Like half of that stuff didn't even happen, but then his eyes drift down to her sheer tights, and a cheeky smirk creeps onto his face. Yeah, he decides to let her wild capping slide purely because of her top-tier fashion sense. Xiao Xiao, who's been hanging on to every word, finally asks who this mystery guy even is. The girl casually drops that he definitely didn't give off night patrol vibes. She points out he actually looked like a high schooler, just like them. Intrigued, Xiao Xiao presses her on how she figured that out. Twirling a lock of white hair around her finger, she smirks, claiming his slang, his moves, and her own flawless sixth sense totally gave it away. But the biggest giveaway, she adds with a sly grin, is his massive obsession with girls wearing tight sheer pantyhose. Then she shoots a pointed finger straight at Yang, declaring he's rocking the exact same creepy energy. Caught completely off guard, Yang scrambles to defend himself, but before he can even squeeze a word out, Yao Yao ruthlessly yanks his hair and raises a threatening fist, growling that he's still the exact same total pervert as always. He stammers out a pathetic excuse, struggling to break free when Lu suddenly bursts through the door like a hurricane. Spotting her dad, Yao Yao blinks in shock, demanding to know what the heck is going on. Panting heavily, he frantically asks if she's hurt, and if she actually got dragged into the Shadow Realm. Still violently pinching Yang's cheeks, she reassures him they are perfectly fine, and didn't catch a single scratch. She casually adds that Yang is surviving too, even if he's currently itching for a beatdown. Her dad breathes out a massive sigh of relief, smiling warmly, and since the whole crew is safe, he tells them to tag along with him. Cut to them chilling in a cramped, dimly lit office. Yao Yao gets serious, asking if this incident was a major disaster. He nods grimly, revealing it's literally the first time in history an entire store got swallowed by the Shadow Realm. They're still tallying up the victims, but miraculously it seems no one got critically injured. Because of this insane glitch in reality, he drops the bomb that their official awakening exam is being pushed way up. Mid-speech, he reaches for a cigarette but instantly freezes when Yao Yao shoots him an absolutely lethal glare. Clearing his throat, he breaks down the brutal exam, explaining it's split into 2 intense phases. Phase 1, the hardcore skill assessment, followed directly by Phase 2, the ultimate willpower trial. He guiltily tosses the unlit smoke back onto his desk, clarifying that the first phase is basically an initial awakening test. This is where rookies are literally hit with toxic shadow corruption just to force their hidden powers to snap awake. It sounds sketchy, but it's actually super low risk, since it just sorts them into classes based on their raw talent. Then comes the willpower test, a brutal mind game that will literally make or break their survival. He leans in close, his face dead serious, dropping the bombshell that this final trial is what truly separates the awakened from the ordinary. Jiang jumps in asking if pure grit is the ultimate cheat code for Phase 2. Like, does a stronger mind guarantee a win? Mr. Liu just shakes his head, shutting that theory down. He clarifies that it is way more twisted than that. Sure, some guys can tank insane agony like getting an arm ripped off, and still pull completely mid-scores. Meanwhile, the totally clueless goofy ones end up flexing god-tier potential out of nowhere. Mental fortitude isn't just about tanking hits. It is all about holding on to your humanity, rejecting the darkness, and surviving the corruption without losing your mind. Long story short, it is incredibly messed up. Yang nervously raises his hand, wondering if having specific, thoughts could actually nerf somebody's willpower. Mr. Liu blinks, totally thrown off, asking why he is suddenly so invested. Jiao Jiao rolls her eyes hard and brutally spells it out. What if a certain someone is constantly obsessing over a girl's legs? Yang instantly turns beet red, realizing he just got completely exposed. Brushing off the sheer cringe, Mr. Liu explains that being thirsty only slightly chips away at your mental armor. Being a saint doesn't lock in a win, but harboring actual malice, that is a straight-up death sentence. Yang gulps nervously, asking why. The older man locks eyes with him. Darkness just breeds more darkness. Toxic emotions literally feed the corruption, and if you let that rot inside you for too long, the shadows will completely swallow you whole. If any of you are carrying around heavy baggage, you need to find an outlet to vent it out immediately. Bottling it up will only completely shatter your mind, and trust me, it does not get worse than that. Jiang processes this heavy truth for a second, questioning if feeling kind of messed up is actually just normal. He instantly hits an epiphany. He desperately needs to hit the club tonight to scrub his filthy mind spotless. Yao Yao just stares right through him, judging him in total silence. Meanwhile, Mr. Liu pushes his chair back, wrapping up the pep talk. He tells the crew to head back, adding that another pro is going to swing by later, to escort them straight into the gauntlet. Right before stepping out, he casually drops a side note for Yang. His uncle got deployed on a hardcore mission and won't be back anytime soon. He adds that he already forged the old man's signature on all the permission slips. Yang flashes a grateful grin, apologizing for being a total burden. But Mr. Liu waves it off like it is literally nothing, telling them to just vibe and trust the process. Yang snaps a crisp salute, totally hyped. Yao Yao hardens her gaze, nodding that she is fully dialed in. Cut to later. The snowy-haired girl flashes them a sweet smile, asking if they just wrapped up. As the squad circles up around the table, Yao Yao scans the room, asking where the rest of the gang vanished to. The girl points down the hall, explaining they all dipped to handle the boring legal paperwork with their folks. When someone questions why she is still chilling here, she drops that her parents are completely swamped with corporate drama. They jetted out of town days ago and are basically ghosts right now. But she video called them a bit ago and knocked out the sign-offs digitally. Out of nowhere, Yuchen's booming voice echoes through the room, hyping up the fact that the whole crew is finally assembled. Everyone whips around, only to see him rolling in on a wheelchair, his leg completely wrapped in a cast, with Xiao Xiao pushing him. Casually sipping an iced coffee, he totally geeks out over some crazy medical spray they blasted on his busted leg, bragging that it literally wiped out all the pain. Jiang stomps over, gesturing wildly at his crippled state, asking if he seriously plans on tackling the death game like this. Zhao Zhao chimes in, checking if he is actually losing his mind, but he just brushes off their panic, totally unbothered, claiming the admins promised his busted ankle wouldn't nerf his final score. Xiao Xiao flashes a wicked smirk, smacking his shoulder as she utterly roasts his fake tough guy act, exposing that literally 5 minutes ago he was sobbing his eyes out in the corner. Yuchen instantly snaps back, fiercely denying the allegations. Right then, the heavy doors swing open again, and a squad of rookies drags themselves in, looking completely traumatized. The blonde guy leading the pack actually wipes away a tear. Yang, totally confused by the doom and gloom, asks why they're looking so crushed. Yao Yao shoots them a sympathetic glance. They just want a normal, chill life, she whispers. But after this exam, everything's gonna flip upside down. Jen steps up, eyes scanning the crowded room. She declares it's showtime. She breaks down the gauntlet into 2 brutal phases, the skill check and the willpower test. The skill phase zeroes in on raw growth potential, explosive power, and how flawlessly they can actually wield their gifts. These talents rank across 4 tiers: low, mid, high, and advanced. Meanwhile, the willpower phase pushes their mental limits against outside corruption, grading their mental fortitude using 6 distinct glowing auras: white, green, blue, purple, red, and finally, orange. Back in the day, level 1 rookies totally skipped this nightmare. But not anymore. Now it's their shot at becoming something extraordinary gets judged at every single growth milestone. She hammers the point home: if your mind is an absolute fortress, you might just clutch a spot even with garbage tier skills. But if your mental game completely crumbles under pressure and your scores fail to hit the mark, you're stuck, pushing papers in civil service forever. Snap, she slams her folder shut, a sharp nod, and she marches them all. As the applicants anxiously pack the waiting area, Yang leans against the observation glass. He spots a guy in the adjacent room guarding some massively draped object. Boom! The intercom cracks, barking out Xiao Xiao's name, ordering her into the testing chamber. She flinches, stammering a quick yes before taking a shaky step forward. The heavy doors slide open. The intercom voice smoothly promises she's in zero danger. Throwing one last terrified glance at her squad, she grits her teeth. "I'm ready," she breathes, stepping into the void. Inside, she comes face to face with the mysterious guy and his veiled artifact. Back in the lobby, everyone immediately smashes their faces against the glass eyes locked on the drama. Without a single word, the guy rips the tarp away, exposing a massive, blindingly radiant. He throws out a hand, signaling the start. The entrance light instantly snaps from green to a harsh red, plunging the room into pitch black. Yukin frowns, totally bewildered. What the heck are they pulling? Do they seriously need to kill the lights for this? Yao Yao squints through the glass. "It's gotta be the willpower trial," she mutters, intensely focused. Meanwhile, Yang just watches in dead silence. Honestly, he feels right at home in the pitch black. After all, he's basically been living in the shadow realm lately. Inside the shadowy chamber, Xiao Xiao freezes, but Yu, hyper-focused from the lobby, catches something completely bizarre. There's a weird glowing stone hovering right by her foot. She's visibly struggling against some invisible crushing force. Is that glowing rock seriously causing all this pressure? Flash. The blinding overhead lights violently snap back on, making the entire crowd wince and shield their eyes. As a drained Xiao Xiao finally stumbles out, Yao Yao instantly rushes over, desperately begging for details. Yukian jumps in too. "Did you pass?" But she just miserably shakes her head, her willpower totally crushed. Despite grinding for literal years, her mental fortitude just never leveled up. Yukian aggressively points a finger at her, mind blown. "Are you kidding me right now? How?" He had zero clue she even cared about going pro, let alone sweating blood for it. "I tried. I really did, but nothing worked," she mutters brokenly. Suddenly, the speakers boom again. It's his turn up to bat. In a heartbeat, his cocky vibe instantly shatters into pure panic. Trudging toward the testing doors, he keeps muttering like a broken record. "I don't want to be the main character," he begs internally. "Please just let me fly under the radar." Watching him drag his feet, Xiao Xiao rolls her eyes. "Bro's stressing over literally nothing," she scoffs. "It's not like he's actually going to pass anyway." A tense minute drags by. Then click. The harsh red light above the frame flickers to a bright glowing green. Yukian stumbles back out, looking absolutely shell-shocked. "No way," he whispers, eyes wide. I actually passed." Xiao Xiao's jaw practically hits the floor. Slumping down next to him on the bench, she crosses her arms, completely salty. "Are you kidding me? I wanted this so bad," she vents. "And I totally bombed it." Meanwhile, Yukian, who wanted absolutely zero part of this, managed to clear it, watching their chaotic dynamic. Yao Yao lets out a massive sigh, rubbing her temples. "Man, the universe really loves playing games with us, huh?" Suddenly, the PA system crackles to life, booming Yao Yao's name across the hall. It's go time. Sucking in a sharp breath, she flashes Yang a confident smirk. "Catch you on the flip side," she says, brushing past him. Stepping into the shadowy arena, she folds her arms, locking into the zone. Instantly, violent streaks of crimson energy erupt from her core, and the ancient stone beneath her boots ignites with a blinding, fierce radiance. Glued to the observation window, Yang's eyes narrow. Wait. Something's way off here. Her platform is screaming red, but when his heavy-set buddy stood there just minutes ago, that thing was glowing solid green. His brain instantly connects the dots. Willpower ranks are color-coded, scaling all the way from level 1 up to 6. Pure shock washes over his face. Holy crap. Crimson red means she's hitting level 5. The overhead indicator flashes green, signaling her flawless run the second she struts back out. Her friend swarms her, panicking. "Are you done? Is it over?" Yao Yao keeps her arms tightly folded, eyes locked on the floor, and gives a slow, exhausted nod. "Yeah." Hovering nearby, Yang lets out a nervous chuckle. "You look completely wiped out," he notes. Panting heavily, she just shoots him a weary glare. "You'll get it. Once you step in there," she gasps. Wasting zero time. Yang lunges forward, pulling her into a massive bear hug. "Come on," he teases. "Where's my good luck buff?" Gritting her teeth, she aggressively shoves him back. "Get off me, you absolute weirdo," she snaps, totally annoyed. Right on cue, the loudspeaker blares Yang's name for the next slot. Hyped out of his mind, he sprints toward the entrance. Throwing up a quick peace sign, he vanishes inside. Watching his back disappear, she tightly clenches her fists. But a soft, genuine smile breaks through. "Knock him dead, loser," she whispers. He yells a quick thanks before the heavy doors seal shut. The second Yang breaches the threshold, the neon indicator above slams to a menacing red. A stern-looking examiner marches up, clipboard in hand, barking for his name. Yang fires back his identity. The guy snatches his application form and shoves a tiny blue-capped glass vial right into his chest. "Have your powers awakened yet?" the examiner demands, voice deadpan. Yang gives a firm nod. Without missing a beat, the dude orders him to down the glowing liquid. But as the examiner glances up from his clipboard, his eyes practically bulge out of his head. He stammers, asking again, "Wait, are you sure your ability's actually triggered?" Wiping his mouth after chugging the vial, Yang shrugs. "Yeah, man. Happened completely naturally." Shaking off the shock, the proctor completely drops the subject. He points a rigid finger toward a strange slab of stone and a blindfold, declaring they're jumping straight into the willpower assessment. He barks an order for Yang to strap the blindfold on. A few heartbeats later, Yang stands completely plunged into darkness, the fabric tight across his eyes. Two heavy, cold hands suddenly clamp down hard on his shoulders. "Keep your cool," the man's voice echoes. "Let your pure instinct take the wheel." He breaks it down. Since Yang's awakening happened so early, he's about to feel exactly what it's like to have his consciousness completely ripped from his physical body. "Don't panic, just keep moving forward." With those final words, the guy gives him a massive shove, launching him straight into the unknown. As Yang takes that blind, desperate step, his stomach instantly drops. Vertigo hits him like a truck. He's free-falling into an absolute bottomless void. A blinding neon blue aura engulfs his vision. Until splash, he suddenly touches down on a bizarre water-like surface. Staring down at his glowing palms, his mind is totally blown by the trippy sensation. He feels literally weightless, floating like a ghost, yet completely tethered to his physical self. Flexing his fingers, he starts testing out this crazy new reality. He bounds across the water's surface, totally soaking in the surreal, gravity-defying rush. Watching from the sidelines, the proctor stares in absolute disbelief as Yang flails around like a complete maniac, twisting and vaulting everywhere. He mutters about how bizarre this kid is before snapping at him to knock off the acrobatics, warning that he's about to totally botch the exam. Yang instantly snaps back to reality, giving a quick nod to show he gets the message. He locks eyes on a massive glowing monolith in the distance and sprints for it. It feels like a total breeze at first, but halfway there, the vibe brutally shifts. His body starts plunging downward. His eyes blow wide open in pure shock as he realizes some invisible force is dragging him below the surface. The deeper he sinks, the heavier his limbs feel, crushing his lungs and choking out his breath. Plummeting further into the abyss, a toxic wave of foreign emotions hijacks his brain. Pure despair, crushing grief, boiling rage. Clenching his jaw, he fiercely fights back, forcing his fractured mind to lock in. It hits him, this test is mental. He has to completely block out this emotional poison. Gasping as he finally breaks the surface, a chillingly familiar voice calls out his name. Whipping around, Yang freezes. His Uncle Lee is just standing right there. Totally lost, he stammers out, asking what the hell he's doing in a place like this. His uncle stares him down with ice-cold eyes, bluntly telling him he has zero right to become an awakened. With his reckless nature, he's only going to get himself and everyone else killed. Pure panic spikes in Yang's chest. He violently pivots and bolts, screaming that this is just some twisted hallucination. But as he sprints forward, Uncle Lee materializes right out of thin air, dead stopping him in his tracks. The Phantom aggressively demands Yang accept how completely useless he really is. Out of nowhere, endless clones of his uncle spawn from the shadows. They coldly echo that humanity's golden age is already dead and buried. Horrifying monsters have absolutely shredded the earth, leaving behind a brutal, cutthroat wasteland. The Phantoms push back, insisting Yang could just live a quiet, comfy life totally off the grid. Why is he so stubbornly obsessed with becoming superhuman? They point into the distance, warning him that true heroes aren't just physically stacked, they possess unbreakable, ironclad mental fortitude. A colossal nightmare beast erupts into view, and the Night Watchmen fearlessly charge the monster head-on, torches blazing in the dark. His uncle's ghostly clone points at the squad mockingly, asking if Yang genuinely believes he has what it takes to stand among those legends. The Titan absolutely wrecks the city, carving a brutal path of pure devastation. Skyscrapers crumble like chalk, concrete violently explodes into the air from the sheer impact, and lifeless bodies literally rain from the sky. Yang watches, paralyzed by terror, clutching his head in sheer panic, as the gut-wrenching slaughter plays out right in front of his eyes. Cutting right through the apocalyptic chaos, Uncle Lee's voice snaps him back. Casually lighting up a cigarette, the Phantom declares that this meat grinder is the inevitable fate of the awakened. He blows a cloud of smoke, demanding to know if Yang is actually ready to end up as dead meat just like them. He tells the kid to stop feeding himself fake delusions. The harsh truth, Yang just wants the ultimate flex of calling himself a hero, nothing more. Dozens of phantom uncles swarm him aggressively, chanting the exact same soul-crushing insults. They ruthlessly lump him in with countless other wannabe teens, the ones crazed for cheap thrills, clout, and hero worship, but who totally choke the second they have to put in actual blood, sweat, and tears. The relentless psychological barrage completely drowns Yang out, suffocating his confidence. They viciously accuse him of faking main character syndrome, pretending he's some rare chosen one, when in reality he's completely, utterly talentless. The brutal reality check starts breaking him. What if he really isn't anything special? Gripping his hair, he crashes down to his knees in defeat, while the toxic phantoms cackle down at him. But then, piercing through the pitch-black abyss, a lone, brilliant flame ignites in the distance. The fallen night watchman from the very beginning slowly strides toward him, clutching the blazing torch. The visions whisper a dark truth: the shadowy underbelly of this world isn't just some hidden alternate dimension. Even when the blinding sun is high in the sky, horrifying nightmares are always lurking right under everyone's noses. This is the true unseen world. Shaking, Yang reaches out, but the martyr instantly vaporizes, dropping his torch straight into the freezing water. Instantly, the void rips open again, spawning nightmare fuel monsters right in his face. The haunting voices drop one last sickening realization: the true curse isn't fighting the darkness, it's becoming an awakened in the first place. The phantom image of his uncle flickers back into view, mocking him, asking if he's actually built for greatness. Hearing that straight disrespect, Yang shoots a death glare, practically grinding his teeth to dust. But in the real world, he's just standing dead in the center of an observation room, being heavily monitored by the night patrol officer who's chilling with his arms crossed. Right on cue, the green-haired girl busts and demanding a status update. The dude just smirks, claiming Yang isn't flopping, but he's been pacing around in circles this entire time. She shrugs it off as totally normal. I mean, not everyone can just tank that heavy-duty corruption he absorbed. The guy nods along, but drops facts only those with absolutely insane willpower can push through. And as for Yang bro, hasn't even broken a sweat yet. Suddenly, the girl's eyes dart to the right. She spots the testing stone flashing a crazy blood red. The guy's jaw straight up drops, completely baffled. Yang hasn't even stepped foot near the damn thing, yet it's already radiating pure crimson energy. The officer stares at him like he's seeing a ghost, totally mind-blown that he hit level 5 from all the way across the room. The girl taps his shoulder nervously, wondering out loud if they're dealing with a legit rank 6 anomaly here. He frowns, admitting he's clueless, especially since only 15 absolute legends have ever hit that tier in history. Without warning, Yang takes a heavy step forward, leaving the officer completely paralyzed by confusion. As Yang closes the gap, the blinding glow instantly starts dying down. Freaking out, he orders the girl to check her smart bracelet for any glitch in the system, but she quickly confirms that the data is 100% accurate. The dude's brain is basically short-circuiting right now. Logically, the closer Yang gets to the crystal, the harder his willpower should be spiking. Instead, every single step seems to drain his mental energy. Still, Yang carefully inches forward, slowly extending his hand toward the relic. The officer is losing his mind, wondering if he's getting pranked right now. Not even a top-tier rank 6 powerhouse could pull off something this bizarre. But right at that exact moment, Yang slams his palm flat against the stone. Boom. A blinding blast of golden light erupts from it, while a massive pitch-black vortex tears open in the sky. A creepy, disembodied voice echoes deep inside Yang's head, trying to brainwash him into giving up his main character energy. It tells him to just settle down, focus on his normal life, his squad, and the people he genuinely cares about. Out of nowhere, Xiao Xiao materializes right in front of him, flashing a sweet, comforting smile while holding out her hand. He grabs it, and the voice whispers that this soft, peaceful life is where he belongs. But Yang just snaps back at the voice, basically telling it to shut the hell up. In a flash, the fake illusion shatters into pieces, snapping him right back into the stark testing room. He casually mentions the voice whispering in his ear, guessing it was just a trippy part of the exam. He smirks, joking that if they were going to throw illusions at him, they should have at least spawned in a full harem of baddies. Back inside his mental landscape, he aggressively steps toward his uncle within the bizarre vortex, who suddenly looks legit panicked. Yang drops his guard, confessing that yeah, he used to be terrified and honestly pretty bitter about the whole situation. He admits his original vibe was purely about flexing as a superhero without giving a single damn about the actual consequences. But reality check, this world doesn't have caped crusaders. It only has normal, everyday humans who grind hard and sacrifice everything to win. Because of their quiet, low-key sacrifices, the rest of the world actually gets to chill in peace and safety. He fiercely grabs the glowing torch, stating that he's already had his taste of a peaceful life. Instantly, the pitch-black void ignites. As Yang declares he is officially done cowering behind other people's protection. Thrusting the blazing fire into the air, he swears he's going to become the ultimate undying beacon to guide everyone else. His uncle stares at him absolutely speechless, while Yang vows to burn through the overwhelming darkness. Smash cut over to an intense office scene where Lu's stressed assistant rushes in, slamming files onto the desk. He drops the heavy news that the massive floor collapse completely wrecked the second, third, and fourth levels of the megamall. The fifth floor also took a serious hit. Though it's barely hanging on, roughly 850 innocent civilians got caught up in the disaster, with 700 of them brutally sucked right into the terrifying shadow dimension. Thankfully, over 650 survivors have already been pulled out, and the search party is still going hardcore. Meanwhile, a squad of 30 elite students, who are gearing up for their brutal martial arts exams, are being split into strike teams for an early high-stakes evaluation. Their mission: instantly wipe out the toxic corruption using pure light energy. The assistant finally pivots to face his boss. Lu kicks back in his chair, aggressively grilling his assistant about the latest intel from the Contamination Assessment Squad. The rookie confirms the lab results are fresh off the press and pings the visuals straight to his screen. The classified dossier breaks down. A terrifying swarm of shadow beasts, bearing the codename Yulin, officially branded as a lethal level 1 biohazard. What is totally messed up is that all three wraiths rock identical anatomical blueprints, complete with bone structures and massive glaring signs of genetic tampering. Lu's jaw drops, his eyes widening in pure shock, as the kid drops a massive bombshell. These synthetic biosignatures are cold hard proof that these monstrosities— No freaking way, the assistant gasps, totally losing his cool. He insists that the gruesome mutation and corruption cycle mutates every single host, uniquely twisting them into getting 3 mutated freaks with perfectly matching blueprints. He claims that is statistically impossible. Flicking his lighter, Lu takes a long drag of his cigarette. He stares out the glass and mutters that some heavy hitter out there just engineered a terrifying breakthrough. His gaze hardens on the skyline as he growls, the rats lurking in the dark, they can't hide in the shadows anymore. Out of nowhere, a blinding, razor-sharp beam of light blasts across his vision, stopping him dead in his tracks. The cigarette slips right past his lips, tumbling to the floor. It hits him that insane glow is exploding straight out of the elite testing chamber. Sprinting like a madman toward the lab, he violently shoves his way through the dense crowd, tossing out breathless apologies as he shoulders past the onlookers. His mind races. The absolute peak score on the mental fortitude exam has only ever triggered a fierce orange aura, a pure blinding gold. That is myth tier. It has never even been recorded. Slamming the double doors open, he crashes into a room packed with totally bewildered faces. A neon green-haired girl trembles, pointing a shaky finger at the testing pod while gasping one name: Yang. Lu's stoic mask completely shatters. His eyes lock onto an explosive, radiant golden energy erupting straight from Yang's palm. Yang slowly blinks his eyes open, pivoting around to find his squad staring in dead, stunned silence. Fast forward, Lu corners the kid in the washroom, shoving a cold bottle of water into his chest and ordering him to hydrate. Yang grabs it with a tired, grateful sigh, immediately checking on Jiao Jiao and the crew. Lu instantly waves off his panic smoothly, reassuring him that the rest of his squad is safe and sound in the lounge, completely clueless about the insane stunt he just pulled. Kid, Lu chuckles, "You seriously nearly gave me a heart attack out there. Hitting stage 5 or even maxing out at stage 6, sure, that makes sense. But this guy, he just shattered the entire scale." Smirking, Yang casually asks if his golden flash means he is basically a walking legend light years beyond the 6th rank. Lu hesitates, before shifting his weight, uncomfortably admitting that the truth is wildly complicated. He drops a dark hint that anomalies like him usually end up as lab rats, trapped under endless surveillance. Hearing the word lab rat, Yang violently chokes on his water, hacking it up. Lu busts out laughing at the kid's sheer panic. "Are you seriously shaking right now?" he teases, swearing they aren't going to slice him open on an operating table. But he warns that the higher-ups are definitely sending suits to harvest his biometrics any minute now. His entire profile is about to be blasted to every elite night patrol unit, putting a massive target on his back. Sweating bullets, Yang asks if he is actually in that deep. Lu claps a heavy, reassuring hand on the rookie's shoulder, promising to ride out the intense debriefing protocols right by his side. Our boy drops his gaze, a cocky smirk creeping onto his lips as he realizes this is his ultimate chance to flex his raw power. Cut to the next scene, the atmosphere is thick with tension as he faces down a harsh panel of 3 elite interrogators casually firing back answers about his basic stats. Staring them dead in the eye, he introduces himself as Yang, clocking in at 18 years old. When they grill him on his personal life, he plays it totally cool, claiming he just grinds through books and hits the gym. Meanwhile, just outside those doors, an absolute mob has swarmed the hallway, their eyes glued to the live-streamed interrogation flashing on the monitors. Whispers echo through the crowd. No one is buying that this insanely average-looking teenager could be the mastermind behind that legendary golden flare. Some haters are already screaming that the mainframe glitched out bitterly, arguing that a gold aura does not automatically equal absolute god-tier genius, while the crowd bickers. 3 decked out in sharp black suits silently lock their predatory gazes on the broadcast. The interrogators aggressively press Yang about what went down inside his mind during the mental trial. He calmly reveals that he witnessed a massive, unending army of fallen night patrol warriors holding their blazing torches high and marching fiercely straight into the abyss. They charged forward, throwing everything they had at a massive towering beast. Meanwhile, Yang couldn't care less. To him, this whole fight was just a total snooze fest, literally a boring script his uncle threw together. The guy was a literal golden legend. No way was he going to play by the rules and stick to some basic routine. Lu presses him, demanding to know what went through his head when he saw the others. Yang drops his gaze quietly, confessing that it felt completely surreal, like he was ascending to a whole new level. The crushing weight of responsibility slammed into his shoulders. But right as he is about to spill the rest, he goes completely silent. Lu practically begs him to keep going, desperate for the punchline. Instead of dropping the lore, Yang totally pivots, randomly pointing out the map chilling on Lu's office wall. The random question catches his uncle totally off guard, but he nods. Instantly, Yang launches himself out of his chair like a rocket. He kicks the desk, shouting that only 5 out of the 10 spots are actually left. He swears the whole situation is way more messed up than anyone realizes, and he is dead set on exposing the truth. Lu just stares at him, absolutely clueless about whatever insane point Yang is trying to make. Then Yang goes full theater kid, wildly waving his hands around, praying out loud that Dazu's youth can somehow break free from the biting cold. He flashes back to furiously struggling to spark a torch, failing miserably, and basically becoming the only glowing light source in the room himself. As he hypes himself up, his body starts blasting that blinding golden aura again, making Lu bury his face in his hands out of pure, unfiltered cringe. Lu turns to the evaluation panel, quickly apologizing for his nephew's totally chaotic vibe. But wait, he glances over and realizes the judges are actually moved by the performance, like literal tears welling up in their eyes. One of the evaluators chokes up, admitting they never expected his backstory to hit right in the feels like that. The green-haired girl sniffles aggressively, wiping her eyes, swearing that this kid is destined for a massive glow-up. Straight to the top of the night patrol, Lu just stands there, absolutely flabbergasted by the sheer absurdity of it all. Meanwhile, someone watching through the security feed smirks, noting that it makes total sense. After all, the kid literally manifested the golden light. They start theorizing that he might be a literal prodigy, heavily hyping up his insane natural talent. Honestly, they figure even if they all teamed up, they could not even touch his power level. A dude sitting at the monitors leans back, grinning like a proud villain over the test results. Back in the room, Yang finally drops the dramatic act and asks if he can just dip out, complaining that he still needs to hit the club for a massage. They wave him off, telling him to head out and just keep an eye out for the official ping. Yang blinks, totally lost. Notification for what he asks. His uncle lets out a sigh, pushing himself up from the chair, and clarifies they are obviously talking about the draft for the elite hardcore boot camp. The camera cuts to his shadowy alter ego perched on a skyscraper, looking intensely stressed. Cut back to reality as they step out of the headquarters. And Lu immediately gets on his case, reminding him that the one rule was to keep a low profile. Thanks to his stunt, the entire night patrol squad is buzzing about his existence. Yang rubs the back of his neck, awkwardly apologizing for turning the whole place upside down. Lu chuckles, though clearly sweating the details. He admits he has no clue how to spin this with Lee, since the goal was to keep Yang completely off the radar. Brushing it off, he reassures the kid that it is handled, but drills one final demand into his head: he absolutely must report to the special boot camp. By March 25th, no excuses. When Yang questions what this camp actually is, Lu drops the bomb: it is months of grueling, intense combat drills, all leading up to a massive, high-stakes martial arts exam. Suddenly, Lu's phone rings. He shoots Yang a deadly glare, ordering him to keep his mouth shut about everything, not even a word to his girlfriend. Lu speeds off, shouting one last reminder about the upcoming training. Later, brooding alone on a rooftop in his shadow form, Yang summons his glowing system interface. The holographic screen flashes a grim reality check. His countdown clock says he literally only has 20 days left to live. Panic starts to creep in. If the crazy exam does not even kick off for another 2 months and the training lasts forever, he knows damn well his current lifespan will not even let him make it to the starting line. There is only one way out of this nightmare. He has to hunt like an absolute maniac to farm enough life force and cheat death. Pacing down the quiet street, his radar suddenly goes off. He freezes senses fully dialed in. A grotesque beast packing 27% blood traits spawns right in his path. It pulses with this sick neon green glow darting around at breakneck speed, heading into absolute nowhere. Catching the opening, he instantly bolts, chasing it down while melting into the pitch-black darkness. Catching his lethal vibe, the monster literally starts shivering in absolute terror. A heartbeat later, the mark triggers, ripping the beast's jaws wide open as it flares up blindingly bright. Without a second thought, he completely blitzes the target, unleashing his killer combo. His raw mana practically shreds the freakish abomination into confetti. The system UI flashes, dropping a quick status check. The monster is critically wrecked, desperately scrambling to dip out. But honestly, it's completely game over. The beast totally flatlines, and the system instantly logs the flawless execution. His remaining lifespan gets a much-needed buff, bumping straight up to 22 days. His combat stats passively level up, and he racks up some sweet bonus shadow points. He lets out a massive sigh of relief, realizing his RNG was insane today. Looting nasty corpses isn't really his vibe, but he'd be a total idiot to pass up free drops like this. Out of nowhere, a harsh voice snaps at him from behind. Pivoting on high alert, he spots a shadowy figure lurking in the alley. Rocking a glaring red helmet, the guy aggressively demands to know where his mob went. Caught off guard, Yang mentally scrambles for a solid excuse, while secretly siphoning the absolute last of the monster's shadow points. Suddenly, Helmet Guy whips out a massive club and pushes up, fiercely barking that Yang is a kill-stealing rat. Legitimately confused, Yang raises an eyebrow. Bro, what are you even talking about, right? But the psycho just doubles down, swearing up and down that Yang completely ripped him off. Yang tenses up as the raging dude aggressively closes the gap, but then he just abruptly freezes. A light bulb seemingly goes off. He yanks his helmet off and intensely scrutinizes Yang's face. Out of nowhere, the guy absolutely loses his mind, totally fangirling out as it clicks. He's standing face to face with the viral internet god Yu. He instantly starts gushing about being his absolute biggest simp and binge-watching every single video. Before Yang can even process this sheer madness, the dude shoves a phone in his face aggressively, forcing a wildly awkward selfie. He even pitches a 70-30 split for the monster's loot. Totally lost, Yang demands to know what the heck a scavenger actually is, and what he meant with all that hostile trash talk earlier. The fanboy stares back, completely mind-blown, then immediately hits record vlogging that the legendary internet star Yu is literally bullying a helpless scavenger and jacking his hard-earned loot. Yang fiercely snaps at him to cut the camera right now, violently yanking him back by the collar. He demands a full explanation on the spot. The kid stammers out that scavenger is just street slang, while their official legit title is Night Watchman. Apparently anyone can sign up as a freelance merc, as long as they hit a basic intermediate tier. Heavily curious, Yang presses him on how much these freelancers actually bank. The dude totally downplays it, claiming it's basically pennies, just around 6,000 to 7,000. Yang practically blows a gasket when he hears the absolute insane stacks these casual freelancers are casually pulling in.